gentlemen, welcome to the WrestleMania Hangover podcast of the Wrestling is Cool podcast, coolest wrestling podcast on the planet. I'm Santi, that's Sancho, and you can forever trust that we will not hit you with a four-wheeler.
Not yet. I don't kind of out yet. That was wild. That was wild. I can't imagine being the defense lawyer for the WWE. Stone Cold Steve Austin hitting a barricade. Your Honor, I do declare, Your Honor, this is a cut and dry case here. The prosecution be like, this man is Stone Cold Steve Austin. This man is born into drinking. That's all he's doing, brother.
Dude, if that happened to me, I don't know. I feel like I would fall in one of two camps. I would milk this. Oh no, my pain and suffering. That would be the genesis of Green Shirt Santi. I would be front row at every WWE show from here on out. Or I would be like, hey, Nick Khan, I won't sue if you have Stone Cold cheers with a beer with me when he's doing his beer celebration. He gives me a beer and we cheers. I might be in that camp too for the content.
All I know, dude, is once that happened at WrestleMania night 1, like the whole night shifted. Like night 2, the whole night shifted. You know, I was like, oh my, this is weird.
It got cursed like after that.
Omen, right? It felt like an omen because it was like, oh my, because in my mind, I was like, maybe Stone Cold's involved in the main event. But after I was like, nah. Nah.
Yeah, they're hiding him away. They're already shipping him across international borders so he can't get sued.
I don't know how you could tell in his face that he was like when he was going back up the ramp that he messed up. But I felt like the WWE was going to come after everybody who posted that clip. I did not post it. I was like, I don't want the WWE knocking on my doorstep, be like, we need to scrub this off the internet, you know. And I don't know why it's Braun Strowman, but hey, get out all the internet. I don't know. I didn't want it, dude.
If WWE wanted to get something off of the internet, wouldn't you take it down if it was Braun Strowman that went after you?
Oh, absolutely. The Monster Monks, man. Hey, take that down. Did you know like the WrestleMania roast? Can't find it anywhere. No one recorded. They put all their phones in little pockets. The Tony thing. And there was some crazy stuff in there, dude. And apparently Braun Strowman was hilarious.
Yeah, I heard that there was some pretty
leaks.
Yeah.
Leaks.
Yeah. I don't think that's ever gonna hit the light of day. I don't think anybody's gonna be able to leak that.
I do find it interesting that the WWE is wanting kind of that culture. They want to mix that taboo, that what's the word I'm looking for? Like they're dancing the line. They want that. I feel like they want to dip their toe in it. They want to go all in, but they're trying to be cool. It feels like the WWE wants to be cool again by having this kind of, Kill Tony type of vibe all engrossed in their atmosphere, in their hemisphere.
Yeah, I think they're trying.
Was it a TKO type of thing,
It could be. I think it very much is a TKO influence because UFC kind of did it first with the Ultimate Fighter, right? That was kind of like the behind the curtain, seeing how these fighters are made and seeing the growth of fighters and just kind of seeing more of the industry, right? They tried it with WWE Tough Enough, but it just didn't hit the same as the Ultimate Fighter. But I think WWE is just trying to become more of a media conglomerate than just a wrestling company, right? Because we're seeing with their partnerships with podcasters, with influencers. Now they're doing this show on Netflix, like showing behind the curtain, the roast of WrestleMania. I just feel like they're just trying to throw as much stuff at the wall from a media perspective, seeing what sticks so that they can lean into it. I think they're just taking advantage of their popularity right now. And especially with the time of the year that it is, it's the perfect time to throw something at the wall and most things will stick.
I cannot believe that they did. The Hall of Fame needs to change though. I know, hey, we're going to talk about everything, but the Hall of Fame, I could not stay up for that, man. That was brutal.
I still hold a grudge at Triple H for how long he went because I genuinely believe that he made my WrestleMania weekend worse because I didn't get any sleep. And then I had to get up for Stand and Deliver and then right through to night 1. And then by night 2, I was just gassed. And it was all because of the game. That man thanked everybody, including the parking maid that helped him go to the gym and work out, it seemed. He was thanking every single person that he ever ran into. He was like 40 minutes in and he was still at the Attitude Era.
The parking maid? Is that a Canadian thing?
That's
parking maid?
Yeah, that's that's the person that goes checking parking meters. That's what they're called. Yeah.
The meter police.
You guys call them police. Yeah, they're meter maids here. It's just how it is.
Hey, Triple H, they need to figure out a better way to Hall of Fame. Put it earlier in the week. I don't know, but again, we warned the people. If you went, say Sancho and Santi was right, because we said from the stadium, the arena, T-Mobile Arena, to that Fontainebleau, that was a journey.
Journey. You know what is a journey as well? The journey to becoming a Patreon. It's actually quite easy. Patreon.com/SantiZap. For $5, you can get everything that we do. The podcast 3 days early. The insane amount of WrestleMania content that I posted this weekend. I broke my back for you people. Final. Go check it out. We also post a whole bunch of watch-alongs, the Raw reviews, the SmackDown reviews, all with footage. And the reviews that I'm doing, I'm actually now doing them live and in color. So you can catch them while I'm doing them live, or you can just watch the video right after. That's great as well. All on patreon.com/SantiZap. Again, $5 gets you all of the content. We do not tier content based on different pricing. $5 gets you literally everything. And we have a bunch of new patrons that we would like to welcome. Thank you guys for giving us your vote of confidence. And we promise you that we will make this $5 the greatest $5 that you have ever spent.
I'm waiting, by the way.
All right, Sancho, you have the floor.
No. I don't. I want your glazed.
Okay.
No,
Wait,
I'm waiting.
Okay, for what specifically?
Lay it on me, dude.
All right. Okay, do you want the glaze because you were kind of right about Seth Rollins?
Okay, this is weird glaze, but continue.
You want the glaze because you predicted that Paul Heyman would walk out with Seth Rollins when I said it was stupid?
Oh, okay. It's getting better. Go on.
You want the glaze about Carrie Cross?
Oh, wow. Continue.
You want the glaze for LA Knight putting on one of the best matches of WrestleMania?
Wow. Whoa.
Too far. This is a PG program.
No. Keep going. Is that all you got?
That's it, brother. We're going to hit all these individually, so I'm sure there will be plenty of ricochet glazing that happens.
Oh, that feels good. Sancho Mania rose again, brother. Yes. Nothing like everyone wants Santi to oil up, but we should get Santi the glaze. You know what I'm saying? The Santi glaze is unique. It's one of a kind. You know how hard it is to get that glaze out of you, brother? Do you know how hard it is to get validation from you? To say, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, son. That's all I want from you, Santi. Dude, the glaze.
I did come close to oiling up this weekend. This was a Santi for night 2, brother. Night 2. Think about what happened, man. Think about what happened. I had Io win. I had Dominic win. I had Cena win. That's a Santi mania right there if I've ever heard one, brother. I almost pulled out the Vaseline and started slithering on the floor with how happy I was with all of my favorites walking out with titles.
Okay, but be for real. How tempted are you to oil up? Like, come, it has to, million subs? Come on, dude.
Maybe at a million subs. I'm for sale, baby. Everything's for sale here.
Whoa.
If Johnson and Johnson,
if
Johnson and Johnson comes in with a sponsorship, like you better believe your boy slather. Dude, I'll go into a kiddie pool of oil at this point. You know, for that Johnson and Johnson advertisement. Come on, folks, bring them in. You know, link. You got my email in bio, that business email. You want to get in there.
To be fair, due to current events, I'm sure that's been on pause for you. You're like, I'm about to do it. And then that day, you know, we get word of other, you know, people who love body oil elsewhere in those parties. And you're like, I guess maybe I'm out, you know?
Yeah. Dude,
we've gone too far.
We had it all ready to go. We had it all ready to go until the Diddy Party news came out. And then we're like, oh man, this would be a PR nightmare. We oiled up. We're gonna have to wait for the fires to simmer down.
Feel wild, brother. But dude, what you know what's interesting is I kind of want to get ahead of this real quickly, like Triple H did. I feel that this is a tale of two halves. We're gonna get into the Raw after Mania in between during WrestleMania stuff, so we're gonna weave it all together like a beautiful quilt. But Santi, I feel I messaged you before Mania, right when that interview hit of Triple H saying, "Hey, you know, don't be a critic, just turn your brain off. It's like a movie." And I was like, brother, I've seen this type of stuff, this advertise, this getting ahead of it all type of marketing. And then quickly, I want to just hit on that because this is the same kind of marketing that I used to be a big Naughty Dog content creator. Okay, Naughty Dog, what they did was before they canceled their multiplayer, they went ahead and said, "Hey, we basically had to do this because if we are successful with this multiplayer, then we're going to lose our identity of being a single player studio that makes our artful masterpieces, and like The Last of Us and Uncharted." And what that did was it gave ammunition to the people that wanted to justify the cancellation of it. It basically gave a message for the people to go, "Hey, they did the right thing. They canceled the multiplayer." So when I raised my torch, immediately I'll get hit with that message, right? So, for example, in this context, Triple H was like, "Hey, turn your brain off. Don't be a critic." It immediately gave ammunition to anybody that wanted to side with the WWE, or they were tired of criticism, things like that. So any little criticism, whether it's valid or not valid, whether it's positive or not or toxic, was immediately met this entire weekend with, "Oh, Triple H said you need to sit down and enjoy it like a movie. You're too much of a critic." And I hate that. I don't like this factions kind of camp that was created because of the messaging from the WWE. And I told you in that DM, I said, this is going to be interesting because the WWE had a horrible PR week that time. And this kind of started, and I was like, Santi, pay attention to this because it's going to be a key factor going into WrestleMania. And it was, my friend. And it was.
It absolutely was. Listen, I'm of the camp that if you are siding with Triple H here, you are a blind bot. You are a sheep of the corporation. What do you mean we can't be critics? That is crazy. Here's the thing. I get the sentiment of his message because it's true. If you go into a piece of media or anything with the mind of like, let me find what's wrong with it, you're going to enjoy it less. It's true. That is fundamentally a fact. Like if you're going in with purely critical eyes to find the bad, you're going to find the bad because you're looking for it specifically. I get the sentiment of his message, and had it come from literally anybody else, I would have been like, that's an interesting thought. Coming from the chef, coming from the guy that's making the product, that's ridiculous. Triple H should never have said that. I said this before. Imagine you go to a Michelin 5-star restaurant, they put the meal in front of you, and the chef comes out, he's like, "Hey, I don't want you to really go into this looking for anything of the bad. Just like enjoy it." I'd be like, what the hell is wrong with this? Why are you the one trying to prep me for this potentially being bad? You're the one that made this. Triple H is the chef, Papa H cook, right? That's what we all say. How dare the chef tell us to not be looking for things that might make the thing that he's making potentially not as good as they want us to believe that it is. Here's my opinion, because he was very critical of online criticism and hate. I think it got to him. I think online criticism at some point has bothered him. And that's not good. That's not a good thing, because I do believe that at the end of the day, online criticism is a microcosm, but I think it can be a canary in the coal mine of how a lot of wrestling fans are feeling. I do believe that, but I'm a firm believer that if you are willing to take the good of social media interaction, you got to take the bad. If you're going to celebrate, this clip got 250 million views, look at how great everyone's reacting to this, you can't ignore the bad and just simply call it, as he said, BS. The sword cuts both ways, brother. Both ways. There's good, there's bad, there's joy and love, there's criticism and hate. That's how it works. That's how fandoms are. So for him to do what he did right before WrestleMania, I saw right through that. Especially like when you messaged me, I'm like, oh my God, this is absolute damage control for something that's about to happen. And I think it absolutely was damage control. I like literally laughed off the idea that that you cannot criticize a piece of media. That's insane. That is, and then for them to have the Slammy Awards, even like the day after, that's literally picking things and criticizing things that you like versus what you don't like. You had us vote for things that we like versus things that we didn't like. It's dumb. It was a dumb thing to say at the worst possible time.
What it's also is, like I said, you created factions. You created the internet and the arena audience. But isn't the internet just a platform for the fan from both at home and in the arena to voice their opinion? And then what happens when the arena is booing and matches the internet? Like, what are you going to do now? Is now you're going to pivot just because of the paid cuss? It's a bizarre thing to say, and it kind of made me uneasy going into WrestleMania, because I was like, should be the biggest party that the WWE is going to hold. We're going back to Vegas after WrestleMania 9. We're going to throw down and just have a great time. WrestleMania After Dark. We got the roasting, we got the Hall of Fame and all this, and that's how you kick off your Mania
Wild
PR?
Yeah, man.
Wild,
and if
bold.
if only the people in attendance matter, Sancho, because that's basically what he said. Okay, keep the same energy when the crowd booed out of the building when you put the TLC match not on WrestleMania. Every soul in that arena told Triple H, this is a stupid idea. Stupid. My Reebs, my TLC. Stupid idea. And he didn't do anything about it. So what's up with that? What do you do about it? And I knew nothing was going to happen because of that. I'm just pointing out hypocrisy and the ill-timed message that has come about. Again, I get the sentiment of the message. I do. Mm-hmm. You are the wrong person to deliver that message. The worst person to deliver that message.
What's interesting, though, I do have to admit that going into Raw after Mania, I was like, I'm not expecting much. I know we're going to talk about it. And I sat there and I go, let me turn my brain off a little bit. But that Raw after Mania, brain on, brain off, banged, no matter what. And that's what that's what, and I would praise it. I can't, if I looked critically at Raw after Mania, I can't find a thing wrong with it.
Agreed.
A thing wrong with it.
Agreed.
Maybe the only thing is why have Rusev debut with New Day. That was the only thing. But if you're like literally you want me to find something wrong. But let's talk about Mania, brother. Let's get into it. This is what the people want, brother.
Let's jump into it. As Sancho said, we're going to kind of be interweaving our thoughts on WrestleMania with things that happened in Raw after Mania. So let's start off with Jey Uso versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Jey Uso is your new World Heavyweight Champion. Jey Uso pulling out moves out of his bag for this match that I've never seen before. I said this in my review. I said that this was the best Jey Uso match of his singles career, and this was a very average Gunther match. So you can kind of see the difference in terms of their ability at reaching like peaks of levels of work rate. I think we saw the peak of Jey Uso, but I think we saw a very run-of-the-mill Gunther match. I know the world right now is wondering how in the world did they have Gunther tap out to Jey Uso. That was a very bold decision, but we do have Jey Uso as the World Heavyweight Champion, and we have fallout on the Raw after Mania from all of this stuff. But first, what did you think about the WrestleMania match?
I felt like the match was, I kind of felt that it was going to go down as I saw when he went up against Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso, where it was just going to be someone getting beaten down the entire time. I think you're right. Gunther, it wasn't like the best Gunther match, and Gunther, his beatdowns are much more visceral. This one was very run-of-the-mill, but when Jey Uso started to take over, and it was as if Jey Uso was Gunther, and he saved all his finishers and started to spam, I was like, interesting play, but then when he got elevated to him tapping out to a choke, I was like, this ending does not match the build that we had. And I'm not talking about just the Jimmy Uso stuff. If you just started with Jimmy Uso getting beaten down and then it escalated to the point where Jey Uso does go for the choke now, because what ended up happening is there was a lot of muddiness of the Alpha Academy, A-Town Down Under, and we're forgetting that all that stuff, through all that fog, was Jey Uso getting choked out and Jimmy getting choked out. So they did have the breadcrumbs leading to this moment, but I felt that because the build was so long, it was the longest build between Royal Rumble and here, it was hard to remember those moments, Sure, if I watched the vignette closely, I would have been like, I'm putting it all together. But weekly television into that moment didn't quite match it for me, but it was a very reminiscent of Ilya Dragunov. And I was like, okay, because we watched that in Match Club. Remember, we're like, oh my god! But the difference is in that match, if you watch it on our reaction to Match Club, it organically built up so cleanly into the tap out. This one, it felt like Jey Uso was just destroying Gunther and wanted to send a message that he tapped him out. But like I said, the message, it wasn't there. I feel like night one of WrestleMania, and my entire criticism was the beginning was great, the middle of the matches were weird, and then, oh my God, we're at the end. When I was editing the clips together for my reactions, it was a weird type of way because I was like, wait, I can't put something, what happened in the middle here? Because the beginning was great, and we're already at the end in every clip that I put together. So that was my criticism for WrestleMania Night 1, and this felt it as well. It's like the beginning was great, and then we were at the end.
Yeah, I like the energy of like the entrance that Jey Uso brought. I love that Gunther was like a no nonsense entrance. I'm like, that's perfect.
No tank. Come on, man.
Yeah, no tank. I enjoyed the match for what it was. I firmly believe, Sancho, that that's as good as that match could possibly be. I feel like
without blood, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's as good as the heights that it could have reached with the talent that was there. But more than anything, this was always about the result, and they got it right. I really firmly believe that Jey Uso is the correct choice. You would have buried the Royal Rumble. You would have buried the moniker of main event Jey Uso had you not pulled the trigger on this. This worked for me. Even if this wasn't Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, this did the job.
I think what more importantly is going into Raw after Mania, I like this was a lot better promo that he did than the Intercontinental. It was much more focused. He looked great. Gold dripped out again. My own interesting part about this is what this sets up for me going forward for the title. And I know we could talk more about the celebration, is that this is a beatable World Heavyweight Champion. And I kind of like that idea. Because you have to think about what we had. Seth Rollins, who was Super Rollins the entire time. I'm not quite sure. Then you had you had Drew McIntyre for a second. Then you had Damian Priest, which he didn't feel like a beatable champion. He felt like a push champion, right? They felt like we need to establish Damian Priest, and it was not Damian did not make the title. The title was trying to make Damian, and we all said that was kind of problematic. But this one, I feel like it's Jey Uso. He looks great with the title. He's gonna make some great matches, and the reason why we're gonna be so in tune to his matches is because he's a beatable champion. He's not gonna be OP.
I think that's a really great point. I think that his matches and his feuds are going to be really open-ended, as opposed to like when, for example, Cody Rhodes would go up against Kevin Owens or AJ Styles or Logan Paul. We're just like, we're here for the graps, brother. We're not here for the end result because we know what the end result is going to be. And I don't think that we are going to have the luxury of just being able to say automatically Jey Uso is going to win this. I think we're going to be able to organically go into matches being like, title's on the line. Title is up for grabs here. And that's a good thing. That actually really is a good thing. How do you feel about the move away from Gunther immediately on the Raw after Mania and the tease of Sami Zayn? Because we had Jey Uso go out there and celebrate. By the way, an appropriate yeeting session, not like after Saturday night's main event when he got choked out and then he comes out with Travis Scott and starts yeeting all over the place. This was an appropriate yeeting session, and I'm like, this works. This is a celebration. Yeet approved. Yes, this is grade A organic yeet. I liked it. We had Sami Zayn come out, and I was uncomfortable the whole time. I was like on the edge of my seat. I explained it to my chat. I'm like, this feels like I'm watching the first couple of minutes of the YouTube video, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, where things are happy and joyous. And I was expecting it to all of a sudden.
Video. I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know what Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is?
I know the Lizard with Mr. Balloon Hands video.
Okay, yeah. So Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. It starts off like this really happy, like children's video that's like teaching a message, but then it gets really, really dark and it keeps teaching that message, but in a really, really nasty way. And I thought that we were in the happy place of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, where Sami Zayn's like, my dog, they're doing like their handshakes. I'm proud of you. They're hugging, they're yeeting. And then there's a moment when they're both yeeting on the turnbuckle and Sami Zayn is like directly behind.
Yeah,
he gets out first and is just looking at Jey Uso, and I'm like, this is where Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared gets gross. This is where we're gonna get the turn of Sami Zayn. But then we didn't. No. placed in our brain. It was. I honestly think it worked better this way, especially because we'd already gotten a heel turn earlier on in the night with Becky Lynch. I like this. I like the idea that I'm now always going to be on edge or on cope, if you're an AEW guy, about when Sami Zayn will finally decide to go after gold, because he's been wanting this championship for just as long as Jey Uso.
It's a classic acting thing. When they say when you're in acting, you don't do anything. And you let the audience add that emotion. You let the audience add the motivation. Sami Zayn literally did nothing to justify what you said. He just stood there looking. That's it.
I know.
Just stood there looking. So, and that's what's a great lesson for, wrestlers and things like that. Like, sometimes you don't need to tip your hand. You don't need to do any of that. If you're just there, let the audience connect the dots and let the audience build this momentum. And so, Triple H goes on his burner account and sees that, oh my God, he's going to turn. Then he could kind of drop more hints that that's where they're leading to. But I love that we got high horse Sammy, but he loves you. He's like, you deserve better. Look at you now. I'm proud of you. I'm being like, all right, Sammy, come on, brother. But I like that line where you said, like, I was on the sidelines and I'm not a sideline guy. I like that. I like that more wrestlers are talking about that. We'll talk about more about the banger pipe bomb by Carrie Cross, brother.
Oh, don't worry, we will. I will say I kind of like the idea of this maybe being a mirror of of Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens, where the first match was a friendly match of respect, and then it maybe like gradually gets more and more heated. Well, not gradually. That thing really took a nosedive. But I could see eventually Sami Zayn getting darker in his pursuit of the gold, my precious style.
Before we move on to Gunther's path, where does Jey Uso's feuds go? Is it more inner circle, personal feuds? I thought it was going to be Braun Breaker.
So did I.
Braun Breaker would be a great first opponent, considering they have the great promos back and forth. But I'm looking at the field. I mean, Rusev just got thrown into the party. I don't know if he starts immediately at the heavyweight title, but who do you see superstar-wise that could give Jey Uso that first competition?
I think Sami Zayn. I think Sami Zayn's a great shout. I love the idea of a returning Bronson Reed, continuing the thing that happened, at War Games, for example. I think that'd be cool. I was like you. I said Braun Breaker, but I think Braun Breaker is going to be doing much bigger, more groundbreaking things at the moment. But to me, Sami Zayn is the play. I think that's the best play because Jey Uso plays best when he's in his emotional bag, not his physical bag. And if he is able to channel the history with Sami Zayn, I think that we could be in for something special from a storyline perspective. I think it could be something truly special. The history between these two makes this, to me, a must-watch feud, and this would be an amazing feud to cement Jey Uso as a champion.
I think they disintegrated the bloodline. You talked about the Dangerous Alliance and things of that sort, but in this moment, I think it's the sign that the bloodline is gone. No mention of Roman, no mention of Jacob, no mention of Solo, no congratulations from them, no hint that they're going to be around looming. I think what they're doing is they disintegrated the bloodline, because what the bloodline always leads to is where's The Rock, right?
Right.
And I think because The Rock may not be around and clearly wasn't here at Mania, I think what they're doing is we need a sunset or like cool down bloodline stuff, because if we continue mentioning that, they're bloodline members or OG bloodline, what ends up happening, because I don't even think the commentators say bloodline anymore or OG bloodline, because if they do that, then we're going to like, oh, where's The Rock? Where's the leader of the bloodline, the true head of the table type of vibe going to come around? And I think that's a great thing to do because it allows everybody to be built up. Case in V, Jacob Fatu.
Right. All right. Well, let's move on to Gunther, because Gunther is off doing something entirely different, and I love what they decided to do. My man is on the ultimate side quest right now. Instead of going back after the World Heavyweight Championship, man crashed out at the commentators of all people, tried to choke out Michael Cole. And that was sick. Pat McAfee jumps in to save him. He gets choked out purple. Brother, when Pat McAfee's buddies jumped the barricade, I thought those was actual fans. Yeah, I was like, cool. This is anarchy. No. I was like, yo, get the talent out of there. And then I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. I got worked. Well played, brother. Yeah. That was fantastic. And I love the idea of him going after commentators, because now the commentary team can continuously put over Gunther and give heat to Gunther pretty much at all times that the commentary team is there, right? Because they're now Gunther's number one target. They're Gunther's primary opponent, I guess. And I would love for this to devolve into Gunther versus Pat McAfee, where it's just a match where Gunther can get some heel heat as we continue to rebuild him back up towards world title status.
Kind of deep thing to do, though. What do you do when your back's against the wall? You take out the media, and that is the commentary. They're going to take out the media so Gunther can control the message, and the media, the commentary team, is not going to back down. It's a fascinating thing to think about, though. You know, if you could control the mouthpiece of Raw or SmackDown, you could kind of reestablish your power, and so that's what Gunther's doing. Obviously, it's a weaselly thing to do rather than go back after Jey Uso. I'm surprised Jey Uso didn't save them. Right? They're his boys, basically. But I like the idea because for the longest time, I thought, man, this commentary team of Pat McAfee, Michael Cole, kind of making Jey Uso look dorky a little bit. You know, the high fiving and the yeeting, and they talk over his entrance, and they huff and puff over it. But it makes sense when you put it back into this cogwheel that Gunther would obviously see all that and then get pissed off and then go in and attack them. I hope you don't get Jey Uso coming into save the day. I like the idea of Pat McAfee standing strong, and a reminder to the audience that Pat McAfee could go. I'm hoping it goes into a backlash type situation, get Pat McAfee back in the ring, and let Gunther destroy something, because he needs to destroy something.
I'm down for this. Let's move on. This will be a quick one. The New Day versus the War Raiders in a glorified advertisement for Clash of Clans. We had advertisers left, right, and center.
That.
Oh,
hated it. Yeah,
dude, advertisers everywhere. We had the ice cream corner, the Minute Maid corner. We had the Xfinity stage. We had an advertiser for like so many of the entrances, and in ways that didn't add to the entrance, like Drew McIntyre standing by a pile of rocks. What the hell was that? Like,
he hated it. You could tell Drew hated it. He threw off all the gear.
It was dumb.
He threw it off.
It was dumb. Most of these just did not work. The best one was the Mattel with Tiffany Stratton. That I'm like, we made it better. This is better. But the rest of the other like advertised entrants, like the War Raiders coming out like they were about to get 99 wood cutting in RuneScape, they just look stupid. They literally just shedded the Viking stuff, and now you're putting them in LARPing gear. Like, stupid, dumb. Anyways, the match. Fine. Like, what do you want me to say about this match? It was fine. It was a great episode of Monday Night Raw.
Turn your brain off and sit there and enjoy the movie. All right,
sit there and enjoy the ad. What this was.
The movie.
I thought that this was fine. I'm like, okay, thanks. I don't care. New Day won, and
yes, but they did it like champions. A heel. So that's a W. They did it like a heel. I'll give them that, right? You gotta give them that. They did it like a heel.
But like they could have done it like a heel on Raw, like Raw after Mania. Like, listen, nothing will ever justify this match being on this card. This match kind of killed the vibe for much of what else happened on the show. This was a big chasm in the show. Not because the quality of the work was bad, but because no one was bought into this. No one in that stadium. I wasn't. My stream wasn't. This was the bathroom break, and they put it in the second match of the night. Poor pacing decision to have this here, if you ask me. I mean, even worse decision to even like have it on the show, period. But whatever. The match is the match. It's happened. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods are new World Tag Team Champions. They come out on the Raw after Mania. They're about to cut a promo. I'm like, here we go. Let's build the tag team division. Let's go. And they put them at the top of the first hour, which, for if you want to get nerdy, that's where you put big things. That's when Raw's viewership is at its highest, because people finish 8 p.m. primetime shows. People finish the 8 p.m. news or whatever it might be, or in some areas 7 p.m. news, and they transition to Raw. 9 p.m. Eastern is always when the viewership is at its highest. And what I said was, New Day doesn't deserve to be in this primetime spot. Something is coming here. I tweeted it. We're going to get a debut or a return here. And I thought it was going to be Fraxium from NXT. I'm like, ooh, let's build the tag team division. And then, brother, my groan when Alpha Academy's music hit was astronomical. You could hear it across different dimensions. But let Maxine cook on the mic more.
It was great.
She was great. I'm like, she should be the mouthpiece at all times of Alpha Academy. This is great. That was my best takeaway from that little moment. Maxine needs to be allowed to cook more on the mic. And then lights go off, and I'm like, ooh, here we go. Rusev music hits, music's Titantron appears, and then he takes like 5 seconds to appear. You said, what is it that you said, Sancho?
It looked like he forgot his cue because he like ran around like he got lost. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously used to the old stage, right? Where you just turn and probably boom, you're right there. But this was a new stage, so he had to go around, and he ran, and then he slowly sauntered to make it look like he was like, I'm menacing. I am Rusev. Yes, Rusev. Come on, dog. I got hyped. What's interesting was Xavier Woods was cutting a Kenny Omega promo. He was like, no one in this company, dead or alive. And I was like, oh, this is a Kenny Omega. Who's going to be? That's what I thought was Fraxian. But my concern was, oh, dear heavens. Don't let Rusev bury this tag team division that's just barely in its infancy. A little turtle going into the ocean, and big old seagull Rusev coming in and gonna gulp him up.
Dude, that's digging up a body and then burying it even further. Finding an even bigger grave to throw the decomposed corpse into.
And, I like that New Day got out of there. That was cool. They didn't, get in the collateral damage to the Rusev premiere. Dog, Rusev looks amazing.
He looks like $1 million.
Good Lord. We'll talk about his physique, dude. His traps were huge. This man looks like he could hit boulders with those forearms. This guy was nasty. He looks better in shape than he was as he was Rusev.
Dude, brother's traps and his lats make him look like he can fly. Forget Red Bull giving you wings. That man has wings on his own. Muscular as meaty wings. But he looked awesome. But I've got some concerns, Sancho.
No.
I have
You're
some
supposed
concerns.
to have your brain off.
I should have turned my brain off. Listen. Beating up Alpha Academy is not a feat anymore. I feel like at this point I've beat up Alpha Academy. Everyone beats up Alpha Academy. That's the thing that happens. Alpha Academy gets beat up because they're the lovable baby faces that are easy to just they're easy to do the job with, right? My concern is that is the lowest amount of creative juices that have flown into the debut of Rusev. So if they're already phoning it in with the most basic debut for Rusev, I am a little bit concerned about the creative juices for Rusev's writing. Right off the rip, when I saw how they debuted Rusev and who they debuted him against, it makes me think that his ceiling is Andrade. That's immediately what comes to mind. And I hope that's not the case because we've seen Rusev under lazy, uncreative writing. So I might just have a little bit of PTSD from that because I'm seeing a little bit of lazy, uncreative writing with his debut here. I feel like this would have hit so much harder had he gone after a single star. What if he went out there and, dare I say, destroyed AJ Styles? That would have been kind of crazy. What if he attacked a Sheamus? That would have been insane. Somebody that demonstrate that this guy is a badass that can hang with the badasses of the WWE, because beating up Alpha Academy does not signify that, even though we know he is one of the guys that can beat up the badasses of the WWE. That's all. I'm being critical, but I should have gone in with my brain dead. I should have just been a corporate little lackey and enjoyed everything about this.
Aren't you E-Fed, dude? That's you.
I thought I was, but apparently,
you're not.
Apparently I'm not. Apparently I have a brain.
What if, is this a safe place?
Sure. It's Raw after Mania season. Everything's a safe place. Everything's on board, unless it's The Rock.
I was thinking about doing a hot takes video on my channel, but call it a safe place. A little bit of different, and I don't roast any of the hot takes, unlike you. Jeez, roasting everybody's hot. Anyway, what if this is just a way? Because Otis versus Rusev is meat on meat. We all love meat on meat. Meat slapping meat against big meaty men. We love that, right?
We do.
What if this is just a way for them to introduce Lana?
Maybe
Maxine,
Lana's on a
Maxine
sure.
Otis.
Lana is on a Legends deal, which is very different than an on-screen deal. When I hear Legends deal, I hear appearing once or twice a year in a celebratory way and doing backstage social media stuff. I don't expect a full-blown on-screen character. I don't, but I don't know.
Maybe it's just to test the waters.
Perhaps.
You hear the contract saying, you're like, "Mehaps, I am interested." Rusev and Lana, I know they were, married at one point. Now they're divorced. But brother, I mean,
I heard they got back together. Am I crazy in that?
If they're back together, I don't know. I'm not. This is not a Bravo.
Yeah. We ain't TMZ here, brother.
The Real Housewives. This is not Total Divas anymore. But bro, if you're gonna keep the name Rusev, which is a stronger name than Miro, Rusev the Redeemer needs Lana at some point. It just works so well, dude. And I don't want you got to have a mix of both old and new Rusev, right? The Rusev that listened to Lana and did everything she said he wanted, like commanded. And like, dude, like look at that WrestleMania versus John Cena, dude. We were like enthralled with Lana's presence, the way she was able to command just everything that she does. But I'm hoping, I have high hopes. I know you're worried. You got that flood watch warning type of vibes. I'm all in. Okay. I'm always all in from the beginning, dude, because I think the ceiling for Rusev is Gunther.
That'd be cool. I want that to be the case. I'm just using my concerned wrestling fan contextual clues. By the way, did confirm Rusev and Lana are back. Congratulations, guys.
Yes. And with the newly acquired, which we'll talk about more, the AAA, Alberto Del Rio
was coming back
with Rusev and Sheamus. It is what is it?
Wade Barrett, the League of Nations, the League of Ass. Yes! That's what that was, the League of Ass.
God, that was terrible, dude. The thing that pops in my mind when I think all that in Alberto Del Rio, awful. Okay, awful. The thing that comes into mind was Royal Rumble 2015, where who took out the big dog? The League of Nations at the command of who? Vince McMahon. Remember the moment? Look, I'm gonna tap into your brain, right? You got the two tables, the big dogs on one of them. Vince McMahon goes, Rusev! Bam! He did that gesture, and Rusev went, and then he's body splashed right on top of Roman.
I don't remember. That was an awful Rumble. I've completely just erased that from my head. All right, yeah. So the New Day winning, Rusev's debut. Let's move on here. We can't really talk about this yet from like a post-Mania angle, but Jade Cargill versus Naomi. I thought they nailed it. I thought this was exactly what it needed to be. I love that Naomi got a new entrance theme that doesn't have a lame ass. I was concerned that it was gonna have like some dumb caution, Naomi is here.
Proceed with caution.
So that would be so dumb. That would have been so stupid. Instead, it's just an awesome metal rock song that I vibe with. I'm like, hell yeah, this works. I thought this match was great. I thought Naomi looked like $1 million. I thought Naomi made Jade Cargill look like $1 million. I don't really have too many thoughts aside from I feel like this was a success. I was so happy this match was good because I was a little bit concerned that it wouldn't be. I was a little bit concerned that this was going to be one of those where we're like, wow, what a great feud up until the Mania match. Now we can walk away saying, what a great feud and what a solid match as well. From beginning to end, they nailed it. And I'm just happy for that.
I gave this one basically a strong C+.
Okay.
And the reason why I did was I feel Naomi, who is going to be a world champion one day as that character.
Oh, yeah.
100%. I think what didn't work for me was I was expecting something different from Jade, but it was still par for the course when it comes to a Jade Cargill match. They did have a lot of good spots. The switch powerbomb thing was nasty.
Oh yeah.
But I think with Jade being on ice for so long, I thought we would get a step forward in her development, and we didn't really. And for her to ramp up to Charlotte, to ramp up to Bianca Belair, I still think we have a ways to go. And people still, when you mention how green she is, she's definitely a veteran of this business. But I'm thinking the WWE has to give her a sink or swim type of situation. And she did really well here. She did not fall. She did not fail. And I liked the match itself. I was just hoping for more of where is Naomi going to go? Is Naomi enjoying this punishment? And I didn't see that. I did see the intensity there from Naomi. And that's what makes me think she's going to be a world champion. But I was hoping a little bit of a different vibe from Jade Cargill. Like, let me see some progress in other places. Does that make sense?
Sure, sure. I mean, for me, the progress was just she managed to have a full singles match. That's
But dog, there's so much been invested in her, and she's been in the WWE for a while. Like, that's where you're at with her now.
I am. I am
a good singles match. Like,
I am because we haven't seen that in
Mania.
WWE.
It's at Mania. It's the biggest stage, and it's not easy to perform at that stage. Don't get me wrong. I'm not discrediting Jade. I was just hoping for her to be on ice for so long to get Jade at a chamber. Now that was a progress forward. That was like, let me see her just beat down someone in Oblivion. That was amazing. But then I didn't feel like we didn't get that oomph. And at the same time, I feel like the WrestleMania, especially night one production as a whole, like, you have the Las Vegas weatherman introduce her. Come on, man. We needed to have something cooler for Jade.
I agree. We should have had like artificial snow, hail, something that would have been cool.
It should have been snowing throughout the entire arena.
Yeah,
dude.
I'm like, who is this? Or maybe dude, if she came out with like, I don't know, cosplayers of like the White Walkers or something, you know, like
that'd be sick.
That would have been so sick. She comes out like an ice queen, you know. I'm like, oh man, that's a Mania entrance, and it could have been an advertisement of HBO's A Night of the Seven Kingdoms that's coming out. Sure, could. There you go. Sure. I just sold an ad for you right there. That would have been sick.
Marvel Rivals new bundle coming out, and she's dressed as Storm.
Sure, why not?
Why not? The thing about it is, I feel like WrestleMania as a whole, in terms of the Triple H era, it hasn't been a lot of crazy entrances. Can you think of an entrance that is WrestleMania worthy? Seth Rollins in the Philly Street Parade, like that was felt.
Logan in the zip line, that was pretty cool. Logan with the Hummer and the Prime bottle, I would say.
Logan with the drone this year wasn't that cool. I mean, that was like, all right, I get the idea, but then it got played out.
Yeah,
him like catching the drone.
Roman 39-40.
The Rock.
Yeah,
the Rock. With this thing was sick. Cody's WrestleMania entrances have not been that great.
He had Evil Knievel motorcyclists just woo,
but they didn't
just jump
anything.
once, just jump once, and then.
And he had the Iron Man.
That was cool.
Like he had that. But I'm just like, that's what I mean. Like, there isn't like a WrestleMania like Undertaker level of entrance. I mean, Damian Priest had a cool one with the bat. Like, that was cool.
El Grande Americano's entrance, brother, was the best entrance of WrestleMania 40. Okay, hang on. We're getting ahead of ourselves because...
Okay, but my point... Yeah, my point is you could have done more for Jade to make her feel like a bigger superstar. And like, as well as continuing on the entrances, it's like, for example, Bianca Belair's entrance was nice and I love it and it's been done before. But dude, if that was a Vince McMahon entrance, he would have got 1,000 kids, 100 kids. Like, he would have like amped it to the point where it felt like a Mania moment. And I feel like, I don't know if it's a budget restriction or the creativity or like they're limiting. Like, Cody didn't even have as much pyro as he has in the past. He gets more pyro on a Monday Night Raw. And that was like, boom. Wee.
I'll never accept anything related to the WWE and budget problems in the same sentence ever. If you're going to charge that much for Mania tickets and have an ad every 30 seconds, you better come out to play, brother. You better come out to play. You better expand that budget.
I wanted to see more of the Cinnamon Toast Crunch mascot.
All right, let's talk here about Jacob Fatu and LA Knight for the United States Championship. We also can't really talk about anything post Mania here as of yet, but LA Knight is no longer your United States champion. Jacob Fatu is, in what I thought was an excellent match. I actually thought that this was LA Knight's best singles match of his career in the WWE. Jacob Fatu's best singles match of his career in the WWE. And I was just pleasantly surprised. I'll tell you why I was pleasantly surprised by all of this. Because I think all of us went in, maybe not you, but many of us went in with the notion that this was going to be a squash match. That Jacob Fatu was going to destroy LA Knight. That the purpose of this match was to make Jacob Fatu the next big bad of the mid-card. To make Jacob Fatu look strong. Why I love this match is because they succeeded in that without doing a squash match, while giving us a good match, because Jacob Fatu did walk out like a bad mother effer, like the scariest dude in the WWE. But in my opinion, LA Knight walked out of that, and if you all of a sudden, like, had LA Knight's music hit during Jey Uso, I would have bought in, because I was like, LA Knight had such a great showing that it'd be cool for them to transition LA Knight to a feud for the world title, even if it's a transitional feud, because I do believe that LA Knight had such a great performance here and made Jacob Fatu looked so great in the process. I'm just glad this wasn't a squash match, but in the process of this match, both guys came out with a higher stock than they went in. This is a success all around.
Talk about the greatest BFT of all time. Watch out, RKO. Right behind you, brother, is the BFT, and a BFT out of nowhere is, dare I say, on par with an RKO out of nowhere. Come on, dude. If that was Randy Orton doing that to Jacob Fatu, you would go, oh my God, top 3 RKO of all time on Jacob Fatu out of nowhere. But no, it was LA Knight. And some of y'all out there are not going to give LA Knight credit for nailing that BFT. The timing to hit a Jacob Fatu on that, insane. First WrestleMania moment of WrestleMania 41, right there. Bang. Oh my God, incredible. Yes. And you know what? You're right. LA Knight looks stronger than ever. And even though he lost, and that's what makes LA Knight great. And hey, we thought Jacob Fatu would have shenanigans with Solo Sikoa, but I love the hype from Solo Sikoa. Just like, yeah, let's go. Go ahead and go get him. That was sick. It's going to make their turn a lot better whenever that happens, but great. I gave this match an A. This was like the first match I felt like, yes. And I know Jey and Gunther happened, but I gave that one a B just because of I was unsure about the tap at the time. But dog, LA Knight, Jacob Fatu nailed it on all fronts, and everybody came out better. That's what you want in WrestleMania. You don't need someone like buried. You don't need someone squashed. You want everybody looking great. LA Knight with the Maserati. I loved it. Jacob Fatu with the Samoan werewolf mask. Yes. Amazing. Some good things all around, dude. Some good things. And then this is the coming out party for Jacob Fatu. First Mania ever, nailed it. Yes.
Yep. We'll get more info as to what's going to happen with these two over on Friday Night SmackDown. But I was so happy with this match. I actually think that this is one of those matches where the crowd just did a disservice by not being loud and animated, because I think this could have gone down as a much better match than it actually was had we had like a solid rowdy crowd. Now let's talk about a pivot that WWE had to make.
I want to get a quick message. We are not a Spirit Halloween. You're out there automatically putting the banners on the Glaze Factory. Nah, that ain't happening, dummy. Yeah, we're not going to be a Spirit Halloween. We don't need no rubber mask. We don't need to sell balloon drops or anything like that. We don't need your last minute birthday party ideas because you're a bad parent. Nah, that ain't happening here. We are selling nothing but LA Knight Glaze. And not only that, just because Braun Strowman was not at WrestleMania, he's still in it. And hey, don't forget about the one and only Carrie Cross, brother, in there as well. We are fine. So go get your Halloween wares somewhere else, brother, because you ain't going to get it here at the Glaze Factory. We're fully operational. And my dog's going crazy. I'll be right back.
All right. So we will talk about El Grande Americano going up against what was a pivot, Rey Fenix, because we had Rey Mysterio get injured on Friday Night SmackDown in a 6-man tag match between him, Rey Fenix, and Dragon Lee going up against American Made, which is obviously such a bummer. I feel like so many people, they're like, oh, well, this is our opportunity to remove this match and put the TLC match or whatever. For me, the best case scenario was always that Rey Mysterio just be healthy and he be part of this match, because Rey Mysterio is what El Grande Americano was striving for. Like, that was the legend versus legend match. Like, obviously Rey Fenix is fantastic, but I did feel like this match lost a lot of its steam in terms of my overall excitement when they removed Rey Mysterio from the equation. We did have El Grande Americano pick up the victory in a really, really solid match. This match was just under 8 minutes, and I think it might be a little bit of recency bias, but I do think that I'm going to walk out saying that El Grande Americano versus Rey Fenix might now be one of my more favorite matches under 10 minutes, because this didn't overstay its welcome. I'm glad that they chose El Grande Americano as the winner here, because to me, El Grande Americano's story needs to end with Rey Mysterio. And if you had to pivot away from Rey Mysterio, you couldn't have El Grande Americano lose here and get unmasked. All of that stuff needs to happen with Rey Mysterio specifically. And now with all of this stuff with AAA, Sancho, and I know that they have worlds collide between NXT and AAA, is there a world, Sancho, where El Grande Americano loses, gets unmasked by all of the Mexican luchadors in a Mexico City show. That honestly, that's a huge payoff for this story, for Lucha Libre to get its back, right, on El Grande Americano in the home, in the throne of Lucha Libre in Mexico City. Now that you have AAA in the equation,
It's a more matter, does the WWE have faith and the bravery to put Grande Americano in Mexico City? Because that would be a mega heat. We're talking about Logan Paul in Puerto Rico.
I disagree. I think it's. I don't think so. It's not the same. It's.
You don't think they'll boo Grande
They'll
Americano in the
boo,
building?
but they'll boo. But sorry. The way you made it sound like it was going to be physically dangerous.
Yeah, I just I want craziness.
I don't think that'll be the case. Like Lucha Libre culture, like this is the norm. You make the ultimate bad guy, the most horrible, deplorable human being. And the Mexican culture and the crowd knows that the payoff is that this bad guy is always going to lose. So it never devolves into like the heat is so bad that it gets violent in that regard, and that like the stars are in danger.
I just want
the
to
star
trashed.
Sure, that'd be kind of cool, but unless you're like an Alberto El Patron that tries to fight the crowd, I hope that if El Grande Americano tries to do that, I think he'll disappear. I don't think we're going to see El Grande Americano ever again. But I think that it would be a really fun environment to pay this off in Mexico City in some way, shape, or form, or a border town. Right? They have Survivor Series in San Diego. That would be pretty sweet. Money in the Bank is in Los Angeles. Just to pivot here for a second, because we are talking about AAA, with Money in the Bank being in Los Angeles, give me Hijo del Vikingo, the most known AAA talent in that match, just to showcase AAA.
Oh, Money in the Bank.
Oh my God, right? That would be insane. I don't need him to win. He shouldn't win, but like, look at our wares kind of thing, right? Look at what we have here with Hijo del Vikingo.
What a wild get, because that was one of the most star attractions for AEW. Like you would see a Viking go, you're like, oh my God, yeah, this dude's cool. The crazy 450 and then his head on the apron, like craziness that he did against Kenny Omega. Like, dude, this guy is nutty, dude. This guy is going to be a highlight reel anytime he's in a match. And for the WWE to steal that, I wonder if the WWE was like, we want him, and they're like, well, you're gonna have to get all of us, and they're like, okay. We can get everybody. But what a unexpected thing. I didn't see that happening at all. I'm hoping that Triple H has said that they don't want, to mess with AAA, like let them do their own thing. We're not gonna get involved in it, but we're gonna have crossovers every now and then. Is it weird that the WWE is becoming Smash Brothers Ultimate?
That's awesome. That's a great way to compare this.
Right?
Yeah, that's a great comparison. Because listen, I've alluded. I've alluded to before that I've always found it weird that WWE has not been able to tap into the Mexican market. And I've always believed is because of massive protective policies, local policies to protect CMLL and AAA and Mexican Lucha Libre from WWE coming in. Because on paper, it makes no sense that WWE has not tried to infiltrate the Mexican market. I think it's because they literally can't. They literally could not actually get in, whether it's it could be a safety thing. Many large organizations and businesses and territories are controlled by criminal organizations that might just be like, no, we have ties and affiliations with CMLL and AAA. We're protecting these businesses. WWE cannot come in here. We are not allowing them to come in here. It's almost as if this is the only way that WWE could get into the Mexican market. I literally think this is the only way.
I love it. I can't wait. I mean, Rey Mysterio deserves, this would be the great swan song for Rey Mysterio to pass the baton to somebody in that organization. I mean, we do have Penta, we do have Rey Fenix, and we do have Dominic Mysterio. So I think we have a great set of luchadors in Grande Americano. So we have a great set in Dragon Lee and the LWO and Legado. For me, this just expands the luchadors beyond LWO, Legado, and Rey. I'm so excited for that. And I know Penta and Rey Fenix were doing their thing, and they're slowly bringing that on. But one of the interesting Royal Rumbles that I saw was in San Antonio, and I think it was 96. and they had CMLL wrestlers there, and it was like really cool to see the son of Mil Mascara out there. And I was like, this is really neat, and the crowd really loved it. And at the same time, it will bolster that West Coast, because I feel like the WWE is rarely in the West Coast.
You're right.
And they're rarely down south. We can't forget about Stephanie Vaquer as well.
Yeah.
So there's a great set of Latino representation coming to the WWE, and as well, if you want to look at the business side of things, AEW loses another resource tab. So
yeah,
quite fascinating for them to pull. It's interesting to see business moves made so boldly at the WrestleMania weekend.
So quick too, right? It just seemingly came out of nowhere. There is a lot of confusion from fans that they're like, oh, I can't wait to see Mystico or this person or that person. AEW is done. AEW's deal is with CMLL. CMLL dwarfs AAA, by the way. Like, CMLL is way bigger, way better, way more talent than AAA. AAA is much smaller and has far less names than CMLL.
It's definitely legacy.
Yeah. It has far less names right now than CMLL. CMLL would have been a much bigger whale to get for the WWE. But still, very strategic move, right? This is also, I also want to clear confusion. WWE did not buy AAA. TKO bought AAA. AAA is still a separate company from WWE within the TKO umbrella. So it's not as if all of a sudden WWE absorbs AAA. That could happen. TKO might make that decision, but they're going to be separate entities within a larger parent company.
It's not like Shane McMahon's going to show up.
The contract says McMahon.
Or Stephanie McMahon in this case.
Yeah, it would be Stephanie McMahon. But yeah, no, this is exciting. And I have more thoughts about WWE acquisitions that we're going to talk about later on. But I'm glad El Grande Americano didn't lose here because, as I said, I feel like the payoff needs to be...
He needed to survive.
Yeah, the payoff needed to be with Rey or just straight up in Mexico. Something to do there. Because they tease Hijo del Vikingo and Grande Americano.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, kicked him right in the face.
Yep. So that's there. It's in play. Let's move on here. Another match again that we don't really have any post-match fallout as of yet, but we have Tiffany Stratton. I'm purposely doing Stratton here because of the tooth situation. Toothless aggression, defeating Charlotte Flair to retain the WWE Women's Championship. I want to get your thoughts here because I'm getting kind of like split thoughts from people on this. What did you think about this match? Because this went on for 19 minutes, so it definitely got headliner runtime.
I enjoyed this match from the beginning when it was more of shoot wrestling sloppy. And I said that in my review on my YouTube channel. I was like, this is a very sloppy match, and I liked it because it felt like this is what I wanted to see. The ladies like, oh no, they're not actually going to work together. I wanted that drama to build. And I wanted to feel that, and they started getting into it, but it feels like they didn't trust each other's emotions, and they didn't trust each other's like wherewithal and professionalism that they could kind of get to the brink without breaking that bubble, because it quickly shifted into actual wrestling. And when it shifted into that, that's when it got low. The lull set in, and then when Tiffy started working Charlotte's knee, I was like, okay, it's building back up again. But then, like I mentioned earlier in this podcast, once it got going, it was over. Like it felt like that. It was so disjointed, and I think what it was is the WWE was saving all the false finishes for the main event of night one, because that one had a lot of false finishes. So there wasn't that many throughout this night. And so when the prettiest moonsault hit and it was over, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, she won clean, sure. But I was hoping that they would lean more into what they discovered, and they didn't for me. And then that's where this match, I gave it a C. It just wasn't there.
Yeah, I didn't think this match was very good. I thought that they had little to no chemistry with each other for the times that they were trying to wrestle. I like what you said. I like when they were fighting. I like when they were fighting. I'm like, yeah, this is the blurring of the lines of reality that I wanted out of this match after they themselves intentionally or unintentionally blurred the lines with their feud. But then they tried to have a wrestling match. And when they tried to have like a more grappling wrestling match with moves, with spots, I'm like, oh, you guys have no timing and chemistry with each other.
No chemistry, exactly.
None at all. There were moments where you could like see Charlotte and Tiffany in separate moments just sort of waiting like, it's your move, like do your thing. So we'd have like these like 2 seconds of lull where you're supposed to have nothing going on, and when you see them like kind of standing around waiting for the move to happen, waiting for them to like to grab them or whatever, or flip or whatever, it really creates a level of disassociation from what I'm seeing, and it feels like instead of seeing a wrestling match, I'm seeing a bad dance where they haven't choreographed it good enough. So now I'm being a critic. Now I've gone in and I'm jotting down the things I don't like. That's what's happened here. But they did it not because I went into it wanting to be a critic. I started being critical because it warranted being critical, because the match wasn't good.
Do you like Dancing with the Stars? You ever seen that show?
I saw season 1, and then beyond that, and I saw the season that had Ribeiro, the guy that plays Carlton from Fresh Prince.
Ah, yes, and he was able to get the win there.
Yeah,
he did
the
really
dub.
well. And he's a host now.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, man.
Yeah,
he got himself a chicken dinner. He got himself a crown, and then all of a sudden, he's the host. Wow, good for him.
Dude, he sued Fortnite for the Carlton dance,
by the way. I heard. He lost.
Do the people know that are not patrons know that you hit the Orange Justice beautifully, by the way?
Thank you. Not bad, right?
Yeah. Did you practice that? Because
No.
you pulled that out, and I was like, what?
Oh, man, it's just in my blood.
I had a question for you, because while I was watching your live reaction to the review of the clip of WrestleMania Night 1
on
Patreon.com, I asked you, do you think 5 years from now Jey Uso is going to start using the word goon?
Maybe he is 5 years late with all of the lingo. He might start saying skibbity gat, you know. He might start saying that. I did see a picture somebody tweeted out. Oh shoot, I cannot remember who did, but they're an awesome content creator. They do like football skits. I can't remember the name of their channel right now, but he took a picture of this kid that had a fake John Cena, like hustle, loyalty, respect, and instead of hustle, loyalty, respect, it said beta skibby gat.
Dude, we are
no
close
Sigma,
from like
Sigma skibbity gat. That's what it was. That's what it was.
We are so close to wrestler leaning into that culture. I think Dom's the closest one to it, but Dom's a little cooler than that. You know, he's a little cooler than that. Like the clip you sent me was so hilarious. Where what was it? Logan Paul was like, "Oh, they're talking about me. Yeah, they're talking about me being champion. And she's talking about me." And he's like, "I'm not."
I knew you'd like that clip. Okay,
I love Dom.
Yeah, I think we're both in agreement. Tiffany, Stratton, Charlotte was man. My takeaway post this is I don't want to see them work again.
Yeah,
it didn't work.
It's a bummer.
Yeah,
it's a bummer.
It's a shame too, because I was always leaning on the anchor that was, hey, at least the match will be awesome, and then it wasn't. And then it just wasn't. So now I've seen enough. I don't need them working again together. I'm good, brother. If you're serious about sports betting, you need a sports book that actually works for you. And that's why I use MyBookie. MyBookie, you're in control. Better odds, bigger wins, and less hassle than the other guy. With the biggest selection of player and prop bets, early cash out options, and live betting that lets you jump in at any time, the fact is you get to play your way at MyBookie. And it's not just sports. MyBookie hosts the party that never ends with a full-fledged casino, because they've got everything from blackjack, roulette, to video poker, and slots. Folks, if you're new to MyBookie, sign up with promo code Santi and get a deposit boost of up to $2,000. Again, that's promo code Santi. Make sure you use that when you're making your account. So don't settle for a second-rate sports book. Bet smarter, win bigger, only at MyBookie. Now let's get you back to the video. Let's move on to the night 1 main event, because this had massive ramifications at the show, and then the biggest ramifications on the Raw after Mania. Seth Rollins defeating CM Punk and Roman Reigns, with Paul Heyman betraying CM Punk and Roman Reigns, literally beat for beat like Sancho predicted, and then walking out with Seth Rollins, thus making Seth Rollins the new Paul Heyman guy. So when this happened, I was like, oh great, Sancho is going to have a field day. And then I was also like confused about it. I'm like, I still don't think this makes sense. But I think it doesn't make sense because I don't know the rest of the reasons. I don't have the missing puzzle. All I have is the the inciting incident. I have the cliffhanger. I don't have the reason, the juice, the meat. And then we got it on the Raw after WrestleMania. The formation of a brand new faction that is very reminiscent of the formation of Evolution in terms of the figureheads that are currently in there. But Sancho, you were right. You were right.
What?
You were right. You're insufferable when you're right, by the way. Like, insufferable. I'm insufferable, but you are like on another level of insufferable.
What do you mean? Just because your people said Sancho was right immediately. It's not my fault, brother. You know what it is? It's because I love so hard, Tanti. I'm here like a doggy dog, and I'm loving you. And then you know what you do? You banish me to you. You go outside, and you did it with such venom, such toxicity that when the people see this underdog scattered out into the house, and then for me to rise like a phoenix out of the ashes, out of your toxicity, they go, yes, Sancho Mania rises again. That's why I did. It's because you instead of like coddling my safe place, you just yeet me out.
Bro, I beat the shit out of you. I took you. I was like, what a dumb prediction. Stupid. It makes no sense. Pathetic. Leave this podcast.
My ribs. But yes, it's the reason why. It's because, like, as you can see, now I did not foresee that Paul Heyman was going to create another faction like that. That would have been crazy if I went that deep. But the idea is, it was just as simple where it started was, Seth Rollins needs a win, dude. Seth Rollins needed a win. Seth Rollins has ran his course as a babyface. He was getting bone dry, boring, constantly saying the same thing. Like, yes, dude, we know you sacrificed everything. But instead of complaining, the dude took action. And he took action with the biggest guy in the building, Paul Heyman, who was a ghost, a shell of his former self. The dude wasn't never the same after he got powerbombed in the Madison Square Garden by the Bloodline. He comes back to form, and I highly recommend that people to watch the Pat McAfee show, which has now become one of the most important wrestling shows for the WWE. Watch the Pat McAfee show after WrestleMania. He has John Cena, Paul Heyman, Michael Cole. And that was an amazing thing because Paul Heyman, before the Raw after Mania, he says, Seth Rollins is where Roman Reigns was in 2020. And he's going to be the next big thing. And I'm going to make him the next big superstar. And I'm like, dog, Seth Rollins at another level where he's already arguably like a 9 out of 10. Now he's going to be like a 11 out of 10 superstar, being able to dictate things, being able to control. He is at his best in my mind. Seth Rollins is a faction leader. And when he's a faction leader, grade A. Even when he has, what was it? Jamie Noble and the other guy, right?
Oh, J&J Security.
Yeah, as soon as he has those guys, even those dudes, he makes them look like $1 million, and he works with them really well. So I cannot wait to see what he does with this. But in this match itself, in a time capsule, I loved it. This was a great triple threat. Everyone had a moment. It was combinations. No one was sitting out on the sidelines. One move led to another. It blended well. I feel like this WrestleMania, especially in the Fatal 4-Way and the women's triple threat, they figured out how to do triple threat in multi-man matches and multi-women matches.
NXT main event. The NXT main event was one of the best triple threat matches I've ever seen, brother. I actually came out of that main event saying, like, this is the best match of the weekend. I was like, this might be the greatest triple threat in company history. And then less than 6 hours later, they come out with what I think is now the best triple threat in company history.
Because that's what makes storytelling important. Adding the notion. Now, I will give you flowers that you said, Sancho, Paul Heyman's important here. We need to have Paul Heyman here. Without Paul Heyman, this match wouldn't go to the next level, to that Mania level. And so I'm happy how it went down. I know I predicted step by step how there was going to be a moment where Paul Heyman's going to make a choice. I like this because if you kind of knowing what happened, revert the time clock a little bit, Santi, you go, how brilliant of a mastermind Seth Rollins is. Seth Rollins told Paul Heyman, hey, I want you to pretend that you're going to go ahead and help CM Punk. You know what? Tongaloa that bad boy. Bang, right in the huevos. And then after that, make Roman Reigns have this moment of, oh, thank you so much, wise man. You love me. Thank you so much for helping me. Let Roman Reigns get that false sense of security. And then, oh, bang, right in the Roman huevos, right in the little,
Dude, he grinded that thing like yeah, I'm really making sure I got this. He like went side to side on it.
I went in between him, bam, bam, right around the side. So he got that right, and then the idea, like, and then what I want you to do is I want you them to both know that it was Seth freaking Rollins all along, the mastermind behind all this. I was like, that's awesome. That is great ring psychology, and I'm so happy that Paul Heyman was able to pull that off expertly, and at the same time, Seth Rollins just looked like the 10-year anniversary of the heist of the century does it again. Like, yes, dude, that's what wrestling should be. It should have unexpected results, but those unexpected results need logic. And when you don't have logic with those unexpected results, that's when you go, I don't agree with you. But this one right here, my friend, you follow all the story beats and you put it all together with the build. Now you got yourself a WrestleMania moment, my friend. Like good old Jerry Lawler.
WrestleMania moment. Oh, God. Insufferable. But yeah, I thought that this match was absolutely unbelievably good. I think it's easily the greatest night one main event in company history for WrestleMania. I think that it's better than the majority of WrestleMania main events that we've ever seen. You look at literally every single WrestleMania main event, I think it's better than most of them. I'm not saying this is the greatest Mania main event of all time, but it's up there. This was main event night 2 worthy. Had this been the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania would have gone down as maybe the greatest night of professional wrestling from beginning to end.
I feel like this was not a WrestleMania of 2 nights in total after you look at the whole card. I think this was 1.5. And if you would have been able to put 1.5 in one night, yes, it would have been a long night, but you would have been like, that was one of the best WrestleManias of all time.
I agree.
If you conclude everything that happened. But, brother, when CM Punk came out with that piano rendition of This Fire Burns at the very beginning, and then it led into This Fire Burns,
dude, and I had goosebumps.
The whole arena, this fire burns. I was like, yes, dude. And then the weaving of the straight edge promo with his old and new self.
So good.
And then he comes out with Paul Heyman and they do the exact same thing with the watch and everything. Like, come on.
Dude, in living color, still amazing live.
Yeah.
My favorite tweet of the weekend was Sean Ross Sapp. Shout out to Sean Ross Sapp. He tweets out.
He watches the show.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. He tweets out in classic, Fightful Select, where like they have a picture and like a caption within the picture, and it was like breaking news: living color still fucks. They were so good. Yeah, man. The entrance was great for CM Punk. I loved. Rollins was great. Like the transition. Yeah, the from the blacked out dress to like the white suit. That was cool. I actually like weirdly liked Roman's entrance coming out by himself, but then like with the bloodline being draped above him.
Cool.
That was cool. But I thought that this match was just brilliant. Was it a bit of a finisher fest? Sure, it was, but it works as a finisher fest because it was a triple threat and it's 3 guys hitting finishers on each other. So it's more people to hit finishers, and you could break up finishers with the third person coming in. But this is my favorite type of triple threat match, which they also did really well with the women's, which is like all 3 guys are just part of the offense literally the entire time. The only time where it felt like this is a singles match was when Punk and Rollins were on the outside fighting each other. That was a low point. That was a little bit of a low point for me. I'm like, I want Roman in this. I want all 3 guys in here. And then Roman yeets over the barricade, and then we get back to what we want, which is 3-way storytelling and all 3 guys in chain wrestling at all times. I thought that this was genuinely brilliant, an unbelievably good match, and currently my match of the year. And I have a tough time seeing what tops this. That being said, I'm happy to swallow my words because after Obafemi versus Trick Williams versus Javon Evans, I said I have a tough time seeing how any match tops this because that was my match of the year, and then they topped it 6 hours later. So that was an awesome match.
It's like when you watch a great regular season basketball game, right? And then you see like a playoff NBA pass, and it's amazing. And then you see an NBA Finals basketball game. So that's basically how it tears.
We watched the Game 7. We watched the Game 7, an NBA Finals Game 7 game for sure.
And what I enjoyed as most is what I learned is like all these superstars are equal. That's what I was learning from it. Like if you look at all the kickouts and false finishes, is they're all Supermen out there, right? There's just no, like, it's literally like this, neck and neck. There's nothing that could break it, but who's the one guy that could be the X Factor? Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman was able to solidify that with the old, this is a mania of low blows. Low blow mania, dude.
Low blow mania. It's true. Now the craziness kept on going on WrestleMania Night 3, because that's what Raw after Mania freaking felt like. Because we had Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins go out there, barely get to talk. They were like 3 words in, and then CM Punk's music hits. Yeah. He's wrapping up his fighting hand. He gets in there, starts beating up Seth Rollins. Then he turns his attention to Paul Heyman. That buys Seth Rollins enough attention to take out Punk, hit the stomp. Then they start speaking again. But this time they say a little bit more. They said, what happened at WrestleMania 41 is now going to continue and coalesce basically at WrestleMania 42. And I'm like, interesting. And then we see the logos of the credits. I'm like, that's it? That's terrible. Then Roman's music hits. Roman comes out, spears Seth Rollins in half. Superman punches Paul Heyman. He does his goes to spear Paul Heyman, only for a hooded figure to come in and ram Roman Reigns with a nasty spear. And Sancho, because of the angles, I thought that was Paul Heyman that pulled out the greatest spear of all time. I was like, Paul Heyman, Paulie dangerously. Good God, who is this man?
Stuntman Paul Heyman out of nowhere, the way the camera worked. But who was it?
It was none other than Braun Breaker, and a Braun Breaker that had just lost his Intercontinental Championship the night before. A Braun Breaker that pretty much everybody's like, okay, time for the main event. I just didn't think that they were not just like, this feels like bypassing the main event. This feels like putting him above the main event scene, in my opinion. This is the ultimate vote of confidence that this is your next face of the WWE. They are pairing him with Rollins and Heyman and having him feud with Roman and Punk. That is a tier above your regular main event. And they create a brand new faction that has a lot of similarities to the early days of Evolution, with Seth Rollins being Triple H, the veteran at the top of his game, Paul Heyman being that wise man, kind of like Ric Flair was. Even if Ric Flair did some in-ring stuff, Ric Flair was definitely about the experience that he brought. And then now, of course, Braun Breaker, that definitely is very reminiscent of, honestly, a combination of Randy Orton and Batista. But a lot of people are obviously comparing him to Batista, even though he's much younger than Batista was going into Evolution. Fun fact, Batista is older than Triple H, which I always found kind of funny, considering he was his protege and his student. But Sancho, this faction is scary. Like, this is a game-changing faction, a faction that fundamentally changes the main event scene, a faction that could have ripple effects for literally the next 20 years. Like, I don't think that's an exaggeration. Evolution's effect is still being felt today with Randy Orton. This is what could propel Braun Breaker to be the guy, the double-digit WrestleMania main event type of guy. I think it started here. I think that once we get to Braun Breaker's inevitable Hall of Fame speech, the vignettes are going to start here, right? Like, this was the moment of the genesis of McGillicuddy right here.
I'm all for it, man. This is what Heyman needed to bring him back into that Paulie dangerously, someone that could move mountains, and talk about getting the ultimate piece to move mountains. I cannot wait, man. This is I'm so happy it's not a final boss, Seth Rollins, Travis Scott faction. Because it'd be annoying, because it'd just be Seth Rollins by himself out there every week, because The Rock didn't show up and Travis Scott only shows up in weird times. So to have Paul Heyman, to have Seth Rollins, it did feel like a bizarre world when Paul Heyman's handing him the microphone, glazing him the whole entire time, wearing the matching tie. It's still a strange sight to see. But you know what makes that sight acceptable and very normal? Braun Breaker. Now all three together are like, okay, this works. This looks amazing, and this feels right. Mm-hmm. And I cannot wait to see where it goes, because Braun Breaker has always been like, whoa, they didn't call him up when we thought he would, right? He spent a year later on that roster in the NXT. And then when they put him in there, we're like, oh, he's going to, I mean, yeah, he gets the IC title, but he still doesn't wrestle as much. And we're like, oh, okay, his promos don't match his in-ring, and he's still losing. He loses in weird places. He lost at WrestleMania. But this erases all that. And I'm just hoping that they let him speak. Let this man cut some Steiner promos. Let him be that wild card where he could say some crazy things out of nowhere. Paul Heyman does business. Seth Rollins does his thing. And Braun Breaker's a loose cannon. That's all I want from them. And they're going to do great things. And you never know, dude. You never know in this wrestling business. Dog, I think Moxley might be around. If this faction's still around, Mox could easily join this faction. The way how much time Seth Rollins keeps mentioning him, Dean Ambrose, Moxley, it'd be a cold day, right? Because for AEW to lose John Moxley, you never know. But if Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman is running the yard and his contract's up,
think he joins them? Like, let's pretend they sign Moxley. Okay. You think he joins them or goes up against them? Both work. Both work.
They both work because Death Rider Moxley is interesting to me because Death Rider Moxley wants to steal the soul of AEW, which made me chuckle. I was like, hey, John Cena wants to do the same thing too. But Moxley will put a bag over your head and choke you out, right? That's Moxley thing. But I'm not like before everyone's like, oh, Sancho's gone. This is not a safe place, Sancho. It's interesting to me that Seth Rollins has said John Moxley's name so many times. He's mentioned it a lot. He mentioned it in that pipe bomb promo. He said Dean Ambrose. He mentioned it in ring at Mania to Roman Reigns. He said Mox. So there's something there.
I think there could be. I'm on board with that something. I know that the other main line that Seth Rollins said that it's got a lot of people thinking is the future of the WWE goes through me. And I think it makes sense to have the future being represented in a 20-something-year-old budding megastar in Braun Breaker. But doesn't it feel like there's room for one more?
That's what I was going to ask you. Who else is going to join? There has to be room for one more.
It depends on what you want. Like Braun Breaker was like, okay, this is like a sure thing, right? This is an ace up your sleeve. Absolutely. Evolution,
100%.
Yeah, Evolution. When they brought in Batista and Randy Orton, they were not a thing. Randy Orton was treading water, being a boring
legacy though.
Yeah, he was legacy. You're right, but he was treading water as a boring ass cookie cutter babyface, and Batista, who had recently just been Deacon Batista, but he was kind of starting to show up as like a big scary muscly dude that Vince liked. Neither of them were like, oh yeah, those are the guys that are going to be the mega stars of the WWE. They became that once they got molded under Triple H and whatnot. To me, there's some that fit this mold. I know people want like somebody that like a Carmelo, they think could make sense, but I feel like Carmelo has his own path. I feel like Carmelo is going to be fine
with Miz,
with Miz and whatnot. I'm actually thinking of somebody that has so much talent that is just treading water in Austin Theory.
Oh, I was going to do a 1, 2, 3 Austin Theory.
Oh, okay. My bad. I think Austin Theory fits the mold so well here. He was under the tutelage of Seth during the pandemic, during like the Messiah, the Church days. Of the Messiah.
Yeah.
And we've been fantasizing about Austin Theory turning on Grayson Waller. This would be such a good way to do it. Such a great way to do it. He takes out Grayson Waller, dead weight, joins Seth Rollins. We got ourselves a faction with two incredibly talented 20-something-year-olds. The head of the snake being Seth Rollins, and then the ultimate wise man. Like that would be such a crazy faction. Ethan Page is also an interesting choice here, but I like Theory more.
I think why I like Theory more is that he has a good cause to hate on Triple H the most.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has been talking about how he was Vince's boy. And then when Vince is gone, all of a sudden he had promos against him. Like, now that your dad's gone, look at you now. I think John Cena told him that daddy's not around anymore to protect you. I think Roman may have. Point is, everybody knows that Austin Theory has been on the back end of a lot of things. And what a way to go to the front of the line by using Paul Heyman and to stick it in Triple H's face. Like, look at me now. You doubted me. Here I am. I'm going to take over your company with the help of Paul Heyman. And you know his bag is deep. Austin Theory is a great worker, could sell. He could eat pins, and it wouldn't hurt that faction. I don't think if they add him, I don't think this faction loses until WrestleMania 42. I think, in fact, they win. They continue to win all the way past 42. If Cody comes back and tries to, raise another army to go up against this faction, he loses. No
Here's
doubt.
the thing, like Evolution, for example, the guys on the lower totem pole, they would lose to the main eventer that's trying to get to Triple H. But they're
Yeah.
losing to Shawn Michaels. They're losing to Goldberg's. He was really over at the time, I promise. They're losing to the big names that are going up against Triple H. So think about what are the names that would go after Seth Rollins? CM Punk, Roman Reigns, like the big of the big fish. So let's say you put Braun Breaker or Austin Theory to be kind of the stepping stones for those good guys to eventually get to Seth Rollins. Do you think in any world I would think that Austin Theory losing to CM Punk is a bad look for Austin Theory? Hell no. Hell no. So this puts them in a really great situation where even in losses, they can look strong and develop because they're only going to be losing to the guys that are trying to get to Rollins. And if you're going to take a shot at the king right now, who is Seth Rollins, you have to have a pretty big gun. And those big guns have to be the names of like CM Punk and Roman Reigns.
Isn't it interesting to me that we feel like they feel scary and dominant without any gold aspirations?
Sure, right now, yeah, but I think they need to get draped.
You think they're going after? You think they're going after Jey? I think Jey Uso is the first target.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool eventually. I wouldn't mind that. Listen, like the tag team division on SmackDown, one of the things that revived them was Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, like it being inserted into that division, winning the titles.
The ladder match, yeah.
Bro, if you have Braun Breaker and other new member of the faction, if they win the tag titles, that's exactly like what it was. Batista and Ric Flair, they won the tag titles. That was a good way to get some gold on Batista. Obviously, it wouldn't be Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman, right? That's why we need somebody else.
Yeah.
But I like it, and it's a good way to give eyeballs to that dead tag team division, and then transition out of there with hopefully a healthy tag team division. But I think that this is going to move mountains. I think this is by far, which is probably why we spent the most time talking about it, the most buzzworthy thing coming out of Mania and Raw after Mania for sure.
What if they go after Dom? I mean, Dom's now face. The Judgment Day are now turning into faces with Dominic Mysterio, which I would never thought in this day and age he would be beloved, which he is. And I thought about it during my watch party for Monday Night Raw. I was like, Dom doesn't have to change a thing. Just don't be a babyface. Like, don't overdo it. Just be who you are, and we love you now.
I don't think it makes sense, like the Dom thing, just because Braun just left that. Right.
So,
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, back to what titles can we eat up is what I'm saying.
I think tag titles, world titles. I think that tag titles, world titles is the way to go here. All right, let's move on here because we still have quite a bit, and I do have a hard stop. Let's move on to the women's triple threat match: Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley. I thought that this was an absolutely brilliant match. When I saw this match on paper compared to everything else on night 2, I'm like, this is going to be the best in-ring match of the night, and I feel like I was right. What were your thoughts on this match?
I agree. This was exactly on par. I put it in my S tier as well. On par with the triple threat we just talked about with Punk, Roman, and Rollins. It just was missing the story. That was the only thing that was missing to take it over the top. It had plenty of Mania moments, and what I found interesting was that it gave us a taste of other matches in the future, especially Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, how brutal and physical that was. And you still got a reminder to the world that Bianca Belair is that person. And it was interesting because I tweeted out, like, why are we booing her? And it's one of my most viral tweets of WrestleMania weekend. And everybody was saying it's because she needs to be refreshed. But I don't think so. I think her stint at the tag team division hurt her shine the most. And I'm hoping Naomi could bring that out of her more, this side of Bianca, to remind her that she is the EST. And, NXT Bianca Belair, that was a heel, worked really well. In that moment when she whipped Rhea Ripley, I was like, ooh, here we go. We're about to put the belt on Bianca Belair. I'm down. And then guess what happened? The old playbook from NXT days comes around, and the prettiest over-the-moon moonsault out of nowhere.
We watched that, like 3 months ago?
We did. I'm telling you, Match Club. You got to watch Match Club.
You got to watch Match Club with us.
Got to watch Match Club because it was really cool. But what I enjoyed the most out of this, quickly from the side, when the whole Stephanie Vaquer and all that stuff, I was like, dude, that's a Marigold match. I literally watched a Marigold match on Monday Night Raw, and it was awesome. But back to this Mania thing. I didn't mind the winner. I loved it. And I think, like, this to me, when it happened on the card, I was like, night 2 is instantly better. Like, yeah, instantly better.
I thought this match was brilliant. I hate to repeat everything that I said. It's my favorite type of triple threat match. They were literally at all times inside of the ring, outside of the ring, at all times together. Hell, the match finish had them 2 inches from each other, all 3 women. That's how like intertwined their match choreography was. They would literally, dude, my favorite transition was Io Sky doing over the moonsault, eats the giant 2 feet of Rhea Ripley, falls back into a KOD. Oh my, I was like, this is amazing. This is unbelievably good. That match was like S tier for me, like A++. I love the winner too. You guys know I love me some Io Sky. Io Sky is your winner, your champion. She goes to Monday Night Raw, has a really nice moment with the crowd where the crowd are just embracing her. She like increased her stock so much because of this feud. My goodness, she is like on the precipice of maybe reaching that level of popularity that we maybe don't have, Bianca doesn't currently have at the moment, but she definitely had before. Asuka? Yeah, she's reached beyond Asuka at this point on the main roster, in my opinion, in terms of how over she is with the crowd. She never reached that level at NXT. Asuka was like, ooh, the Asuka's going to kill you chance on NXT. Yes. Side note, I see people talking online about like, what's the NXT Mount Rushmore? Your NXT Mount Rushmore doesn't count unless it has Asuka. It doesn't count unless it has Asuka. Anyways, we had Stephanie Vaquer, NXT Women's Champion, come out, and I literally melted. I'm like, these are my 1-2 favorite women's wrestlers in the company, in the world right now, if I'm being honest with you. They decide to have a match. What a great little taste of what they can do, a taste of what they can do, because they can do so much more. And I'm happy that it ended in shenanigans, because I didn't want either of them to lose. Io losing right now doesn't make sense. Stephanie has a championship match literally today as of the recording of this. But there's more to talk about than just like, then Roxanne Perez got out there, blah, 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 because we had Roxanne Perez, then Julia. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then Rhea Ripley comes out, and then Julia and Rhea Ripley stare each other down. Brother, I think this is the start of the women's evolution PLE being teased. That's heavily teased and rumored for June. I think we might be getting like Julia versus Rhea Ripley types of match, which would be insane. And I would love for them to run back Stephanie versus Io. Like, I think that this is women's evolution, the first bullet fired.
I'm hoping everyone that is on Match Club, because, let's be real, a lot of the people on Match Club, they vote WWE matches, which we're mainly a predominant WWE. We know that, right? But when we have a Stardom or a Marigold match, and it's, we look at the numbers and it's not the most voted for, but you and I force it sometimes.
Yeah.
It is worth your time. Please go down the list, Match Club, $5 gets you in. They're all there in the collection, and look at the Marigold and Stardom matches. And you're wondering why. You just got a taste of it on Monday Night Raw. And that was just the surface level, a taste, and how organically it builds up to those suplexes, those hard-hitting suplexes. And when they started hitting those, I was like, oh yes. Now we're in a Marigold match.
Dude, Stardom Marigold cracks me up, because it'll start with like a regular match, and then like by the end they're like, that was like a jumping tombstone off the top rope. How did we get organically here?
It was so good. And what I think the best thing I took out of the Raw after Mania was Stephanie Vaquer is ready for the main roster.
Oh my God,
ready for the main roster.
Her English is great. Her English is great. She's just over, brother. She is. There's several people on NXT that have always been main roster ready. They just needed seasoning, right? Just like, hey, let's get your feet wet. Ricky Saints is one of them. Ethan Page is one of them. Stephanie Vaquer, of course. I wouldn't be surprised if Mariah May is in that boat here within the next couple of months.
Don't you tease me with Mariah May, brother.
Dude, imagine, because the tease is, apparently rumor is Mariah May's contract is done in the summer. Is it done early enough for her to debut at Evolution, bro? That'd be insane. But we didn't really get much as to like what's going to go on more for Io. I think they teased maybe continuing something with Rhea Ripley, but that really wasn't concrete.
At this point, I told myself Raw after Mania, I said, who's cooking this? I looked around and like, who is booking this? Dude. Because this is A-tier booking. Like, I know Triple H is like capable of this, but I do feel that to give Triple H his credit, WrestleMania 41's booking, I feel like somewhere he was handcuffed. And that's maybe he got pissy about it. Don't know the politics behind the wrestling, of course. But this right here felt like Triple H cooking. This right here.
Yeah. No, this
Maybe
was
a little
great.
Shawn Michaels cooking too, right? The DX cooking. Don't know, but it was mwah.
Fantastic stuff.
It's like that one guy, the gif of in the grill, that meme. He's like, going on, like he gets all mad. That's me right now. I was like, what's going on here, man?
Let's move on, continuing down the Mania card. Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest in a Sin City street fight. This was fine. It was a fun spot fest match. Drew McIntyre had to do a dumbass sponsored entrance where he posed in front of a bunch of rocks with a Doom helmet on it. That was just awful. Damian Priest did have somebody, was it from Slayer, that was just shredding on the guitar. Yeah. That was way better entrance. But I thought the match was fine. Like, it was just a cool spot fest. Good violence, bunch of table spots, nasty future shock DDT on the steel steps. I love the finish with the Claymore to the head ricocheting onto the chair. And of course, we got another Drew McIntyre selfie moment at WrestleMania with the still board at work. Nothing happened, of course, on Monday Night Raw because these guys are on SmackDown, so nothing to talk in terms of fallout. But yeah, give me your quick thoughts on this match.
I think the only takeaway from this is that where does Damian Priest go from here? I mean, that was meant for him to win. It was set up for him to win. It was a gimmick match. You felt like he would be able to take advantage of the street fight. He loses by getting countered by his own old school, and he kind of got destroyed. I mean, I'm hoping they're going to bring a refresh, an undead Damian. Who knows? But something needs to happen for Damian Priest to be able to get his swagger back, because he lost it all by getting destroyed by Drew McIntyre. I don't think it was as even as you think it was if you look back on it. I think Drew McIntyre dominated that match, and Drew McIntyre proved that he was meant for better pastures, my friend. It was like a unnecessary stop for him. It was like he was on the lower of the bracket, and he was like, well, what am I doing here? I need to dominate. And he dominated and showed out. But yeah, man, I feel bad for Drew. I mean, at least he was here at Mania, but there was nothing more. It didn't. You won't remember this match years later, and it won't be in his vignette for his Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I just thought it was a fun palate cleanser, sure. After that fantastic high-paced match, not letting the crowd completely die by putting on a stinker or a boring match. Hey, you just saw one of the best women's matches in the history of WrestleMania. We know you're up here in terms of your energy level. We don't want you to completely crash, so we're going to keep you up here with some spots. I thought it was a well-placed in the card match.
3 for 3. Night 2 started off bangers, 100%.
I agree. Well, let's move on to the third banger that you were alluding to, the fatal four-way match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship between Dominic Mysterio, Braun Breaker, and Finn Balor and Penta. And Sancho, you got your chance. Now I get mine. How long have I been telling you and everyone around the world and our patrons to be buying your Dominic Mysterio stocks? Diamond hands, boys, is what I kept saying. Do not sell your stocks. Dominic Mysterio stocks will absolutely appreciate, and if you held on to those stocks like I told you to, you have now become a multi-dom millionaire. You are a rich man. Dominic Mysterio is your Intercontinental Champion. Not only is he champion, but he's over. He is over, which I think is more important than being a champion. This guy cannot buy a boo anymore. Everywhere he goes, he is the biggest man, the biggest name entering the room. We are in the era of Dominic Mysterio. I think we saw a wonderful passing of the torch in the mid-card to Dominic Mysterio. I think that this was fantastic. I thought the match was awesome. I really thought that it was great. R.I.P. Carlito again. You think that it's undead Damian Priest. I think it might be undead Carlito. This guy keeps coming back to life. I love the story that they were telling between Dominic and Finn Balor. I actually love the fact that it was Dominic that turned on Finn first, and ultimately it was Dom that got the pin on Finn Balor in a pretty much identical way to the women's triple threat finish that we had earlier on in the night. I thought this was great, and Dom, that's the guy, man. That's our dude.
It felt like an Eddie Guerrero type of opportunity too, right? He was steal it, kind of, sort of, just jumping in and hitting that frog splash. Great timing too. I loved it, man. This is one of those things where fatal four ways where you could feel like one guy's like sitting out doing nothing, but everybody was all involved. Braun Breaker looked like $1 million the first half, just dominant. That double suplex that he did was nutty, and then the table spear was insane. That this was a great showcase for his first Mania as well, to let everybody know, like, look, we have a Steiner in our midst again, and he is dominant. He's doing great things. Penta at least was kept up to pace. I know Penta kind of feels like the odd man out when you look at all the fallout of favorite thing. But I love that Finn Balor. I think you got to give credit to Finn Balor. Without him kind of messing with Dom, putting Dom down, we would not have this Dom face turn, and it was organic. And the moment where he stood up and he was looking at Finn Balor for 619 and the crowd realized what was happening and started to cheer, and I was like, oh my God, I lived long enough to see a babyface Dominic Mysterio. Like, this has been a great time. And I think what works, and I kind of hinted at this earlier, like months and months, is that Dominic is just a cool superstar. And he's very relatable, and he's on Hot Ones. You can put him in all these random things, and just his awkward presence works really well. And I think like because of that, the WWE sees some value in that. And now his delusional belief and confidence is now justified and is validated with the belt, because he already talked about, I'm the greatest Intercontinental champion of all time. I'm like, yes, you are, Dom. Yes, you are. And Big E was like, I won the belt too. He was like, yeah, but you don't have it now. That's the kind of stuff that Dom is so good at. So I love it, and it helps that Judgment Day has gold again, and we'll go back into the tag teams for the women, and they're on top. And I think like this is an interesting ragtag group of Judgment Day that survived. I'm surprised. And then, like before all this, we were like, dude, Judgment Day needs to break up. But at least they're still around, and they're fun to watch. The backstage segments are fun again.
I agree. Well, I think I don't know how. Let's actually just talk about the women's tag team match, because all of this kind of
they're part of it.
They're part of it with what happened on Monday Night Raw, because we had Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch defeating Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for the women's World Tag Team titles, with a returning Becky Lynch after Bayley was written off. Everything that I've read is that she's healthy, and that it was a healthy scratch, even though on TV they then said that she was like nursing like a shoulder injury. I don't know what to believe right now. My initial gut reaction was, this sucks. I love the return of Becky Lynch. I love Becky Lynch. I'm a big Becky Lynch fan. I think calling her Becky Hogan is ridiculous. But this was a bad look. This was a bad way to return, because it put a sour taste in the mouth of many people. Because I think Becky Lynch, let's call it what it is, I think she's a bigger star than Bayley. But is she that much bigger than Bayley to warrant returning her at WrestleMania, in sacrificing Bayley's WrestleMania match? A match where, by the way, she got by spending 45 minutes in a gauntlet match. This was just... It sucks, right? Because the return of Becky Lynch should have been exciting, but instead there was a sour taste about it because of the situation with Bayley. They did end up winning the tag titles, and what I thought was a very meh match, a match that I think they did much better on Monday Night Raw. And I think the reason it was meh on WrestleMania is that basically it was just the heels working Lyra Valkyria until eventually the hot tag. Right? Meanwhile, the match on Raw, the aura of Becky Lynch appearing in the ring had already dissipated, so it was just like an actual tag match. So it was actually just so much better, much more free-flowing. But Lyra and Becky win, and then on the Monday Night Raw after, they lose the titles right back to Raquel and Liv Morgan. There's a couple of branches that we can go off on. Let's go to the Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan one, and let's go back to the Dominic Mysterio thing, because Dominic Mysterio on Raw defeated Penta in an okay match, but we had the return of Jade McDonough. Awesome. Welcome back. So happy to see Jade McDonough back. So now we have a Judgment Day that's draped in gold, with Dom as the IC title, the two women as the tag champions, and then a Finn Balor and a Carlito and a Jade McDonough with nothing. I'm going to throw this out there into the ether. We now basically have enough people, 3 and 3, to maybe do some sort of Judgment Day Civil War storyline between Dom and Finn Balor for the IC title, where it splits the clubhouse without them breaking up or attacking each other or anything like that. But like, there's tension in the clubhouse where there's the haves and the have-nots, right? The ones with titles, the ones with no titles. I don't want to see like Judgment Day A and Judgment Day B, right? Or anything like that where they're separate factions. I want infighting and bickering within a family. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, that was interesting when Liv Morgan kind of kept it together, and Liv Morgan like jumped in front, and Finn Balor was like, what stays in Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? So that was interesting how they were able to keep them all together. I'm so interested if they're going to introduce the third man, right? The new Judgment Day character that he's been pining for the longest time, or did they just forget about it or sunset that? I don't know. I just think that Judgment Day is fun again, and that's the best part of all that shaking down. And I know people are gonna be like, why did they take the belts off of Liv Morgan at Mania just to put it back off the next day? I think they just wanted a WrestleMania moment for Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is coming back from a year. Becky Lynch has her kid in the crowd. Don't know, dude. But regardless, Becky Lynch could not lose at Mania. Yeah. And they wanted her to come back at Mania, and they used this as a vehicle. You nailed it, that it sucks all around that they used Bailey and they used the tag team division for this leap pad into the main event again for Becky Lynch. But at the end of the day, Becky's back, Becky's needed, and Becky's going to be a great addition back to the women's roster.
I know, I agree. I'm glad that Becky's back, and I don't think it's just a great addition to the women's roster. I want to be a little bit more niche. I think it's a great addition to the Intercontinental Championship picture. Now that she's heel, her turning heel
obliterated Lyra,
destroyed Lyra after they lost the tag titles. She kept coming back like the SpongeBob Sea Bear. Crowd kept chanting one more time, which was hilarious. She ended up hitting like 3 manhandle slams. This sets us up for Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria, which is exactly what I think all of us wanted at this point. This is great for the IC title, the first actual story and feud for Lyra Valkyria and the IC championship, and it couldn't come with a much bigger name than Becky Lynch right now.
Well, now that we're talking about the mid card, I do feel like Chelsea Green was missed at this Mania. Kind of a bummer. Like nothing. Not even a segment.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I thought there was a moment that it was going to be Chelsea Green that was going to be the partner. I was
did I.
Yeah, where I'm like, getting both they did find a way to get the IC title and the US title in there, and now they're both double champions. I'm like, that actually could be interesting, and they could be such polar opposites. And like, you could have like, it would have been like Chelsea Green's music, and it would have cut to like Lyra's face, like, oh God, I can't believe this is the only person I was able to get. And then maybe, oh my God, we're writing it for them. It was Secret Hervis that took out Bailey.
Yep.
Come on, brother. We're writing it for them. But hey, I'm glad Becky Lynch is back because she is needed in this division in the mid card. She's so useful there.
I also feel things like sometimes, and fantasy booking is such a word to listen to, but I always feel like when you kind of sit down and you think like just a layer deeper, you get something fun like that. Just a layer deeper, right? Becky Lynch, great. But a layer deeper, Chelsea Green, with all that stuff and all the tangibles. But at the end of the day, Becky Lynch, heel. I like it. I don't have any problems with it. I think she needed it because her last showing was Rhea Ripley, and she kind of got forced to being a heel, and it didn't work for her. But I'm glad that she's back, and Lyra needs it. But Lyra looked great at Mania. Her entrance was cool, man. She looked like a bird out there, like actually legit. Yeah.
Da-na-na.
Woo!
Da-na-na.
Woo!
Okay, we won't do the whole thing because
I'm doing a low woo, so the mic will pick it up.
That's smart. That's smart.
Thank you. It's a Discord.
Let's move on here to I thought was one of the fun highlights of the show. Randy Orton's mystery opponent being revealed to be none other than Joe Hendry. To a massive pop. I dare I say one of the biggest pops of the night. And for my stream, one of the biggest influxes of viewers that I got when Joe Hendry was revealed. Joe Hendry goes out there, has a 3-minute little feature showcase of some of the moves of Joe Hendry, and Randy Orton's able to pick up the win in such a funny meme-filled way with Joe Hendry doing his pose. Camera zooms in, eats an RKO, and then just a really fun post-match segment as well with Randy giving him kudos, letting him bask in the aura of being at a WrestleMania, and then hitting him with an RKO again. And then Randy does the Joe Hendry turnaround pose and then hits his own Fortnite emote. It was just fun, man. It was just so much fun. I'm so happy for Joe Hendry to get this moment. What a way to put over Joe Hendry and the TNA brand and the TNA partnership. I never thought that this was possible in a million years. I have thoughts on this, but I never thought that WWE would be so selfless as to give TNA this kind of rub. And I don't think that they're being selfless, actually. I think
remember you saying that.
Okay, let me go deeper into this. I don't think this was selfless. I think that this is tinfoil. Okay. WWE is a clearly monopolistic company. They're trying to run AEW out of town. They counter product AEW everywhere that they go. They're going into Mexico. They're talking about
yeah.
reviving NXT Europe, which would honestly kill a lot of the European indies. They're talking about NXT India and going into Japan. Sancho, my prediction is that because WWE is so monopolistic and not like we play nice with other wrestling companies for the sake of playing nice, they're doing something to help their bottom line. I think they've bought TNA. I think that there is somewhere already an agreement to purchase TNA. Because why, if this TNA partnership ends at the end of the year, you now have immortalized something and somebody, an entity and a championship that has nothing to do with WWE. I think they're buying TNA. TNA, not that long ago, cleared house and they let go of a bunch of executives. And I told you in the podcast, that's usually a sign of a company that's looking to be acquired. This, I think they've been acquired. I think it's just about waiting for the ink to dry in the pen. So if you see WWE purchasing or TKO purchasing TNA, remember you heard it here first. That's all. That's my tinfoil theory. I don't think WWE is just so kind and benevolent to give TNA this rub against Randy Orton. I don't see it. This one-off, no way. No way, Jose. I'm so confident that Jose. No way. Jose. I think that they've bought TNA.
To play the devil's advocate, to the devil that I do know, what a banger of a promo from Carrie Cross. This is where it led to right here, the catalyst, where in the podcast interview with Sam Roberts, Carrie Cross just goes off and says, hey, first of all, you got to listen. It's only like 2 minutes, but he talks about, you want to know something? You want to know what being a good soldier gets you? What Bill Goldberg told me, be a good soldier. It gets your time cut. You have good ideas, and they say, no, those good ideas, those great ideas are too good. They're not meant for you. You get your time cut. You get pushed back and back. And then Karrion Kross goes off, and he says, you want viral moments? That's what they want. They want viral moments. No disrespect to Joe Hendry. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. But the people wanted me there in Vegas. I did not ask for a match with Randy. I didn't ask for it. The people wanted it. You told me to be undeniable. Well, I am undeniable, but yet you ignore all the buzz that I'm getting. You ignored the noise, what happened when I got eliminated on SmackDown. You ignore everything that I do. And then he says, oh my God. He says, so to the message to the guy in the tie in the truck, F you. Like, dog. Scarlett puts her hand on his shoulder when he starts popping off as if to say, honey, not now. And he just explodes in this pipe bomb thing that I'm not sure if everyone in the WWE universe is going to listen to. I mean, you have to be on the timeline. You got to be on Twitter. You got to be on IG. If the WWE could lean into or tap into 1% of this Karrion Kross, who they give the green light to the John Cena's of the world, to the CM Punks in the world, to the Miz's of the world, that's the same quality that Karrion Kross can deliver it if he's allowed to. And that for him to dip his toe into reality, into the pipe bomb nature, incredible. I'm hoping they don't punish him. He was just like, he kind of went out there like, this is it. He went all out. I wish it was Karrion Kross versus Randy Orton. And the reason why is because it would have progressed Randy Orton's story a little bit forward, would have gave him that punt kick in his repertoire that when he goes against John Cena, you go like, oh my God, he has a punt kick available now. Right? He unlocked that tier again. The cooldown's available. But now, we get this viral moment with Randy Orton and Joe Hendry. I like the idea of Karrion Kross calling them out because you couldn't say that the WWE does chase clicks and clout. I Show Speed, Braun Breaker at Rumble, Travis Scott, a main event against John Cena and Cody Rhodes.
We're going to get to all of that. You're jumping all over the place here.
I'm not jumping ahead. I'm giving Karrion Kross his due. And all I'm saying, Santi, is get ready. You see this? Dugga. My man is a full steam ahead. And you talking about New Day train this, Mono Testament train this.
Are you ready to admit? Are you ready to admit that
it's the same train?
No,
it's the same train. It's the same train.
One is derailed in the bottom of a canyon.
Nope. Nope.
That's
Nope.
ridiculous.
Nope.
Anyways, let's move on. We really are pressed for time. We got Logan Paul versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania. No fancy like prime bottle or anything from Logan Paul.
That's when I knew this match was terrible. No,
Here's the thing.
I'm out.
Here's where my thoughts are about this match. I feel like this was Logan Paul trying to be a WWE wrestler. He was trying to wrestle. I feel like what I said going into this match was like, AJ can win and Logan can lose because Logan wins with the viral moment. Yeah, and they didn't chase the viral moment in this match. Instead, they chased trying to have a match, which I appreciate to a degree, but that's not what I expect out of Logan Paul at WrestleMania. If this was on any other PLE, if this was on Raw, I would have said this is maybe Logan Paul's best technical wrestling match that he's had. It had no flash, no ooze, no ahs. This also felt, and feel free to jump in, this felt like it wasn't choreographed ahead of time. Like a lot of it was being called in the ring by AJ Styles probably, but it felt like Logan Paul's first like fully organic wrestling match. But I wish that WrestleMania wasn't the stage where they decided to experiment with this. Logan Paul Mania moments is what we look for out of Logan Paul. That's the value of Logan Paul, in my opinion, at WrestleMania. And I don't think that we got that. That's why I didn't love this. But we did get Karrion Kross in it. We did,
yes.
But you already jumped the shark and gave your Karrion Kross glaze. But we got Karrion Kross here. Basically,
it's the best part of the match.
It was the best part of the match. I 100% agree. Stopping the brass knucks, telling Alan, use them. And he didn't.
Come on,
loses
Alan,
because of it. I'm begging you, Alan. And then it gets played out on Monday Night Raw as well with their continuing of their argument.
Yeah. I agree with you the most that this is a backlash setup for AJ and Karrion Kross. And you're right. Logan's just trying to be a pro wrestler. And when that does not make him the best superstar he can be, what makes Logan Paul an attraction at Mania is those viral moments, is leaning into memes, is having I Show Speed and Kai Cenat, is introducing that world. Because when he tries to be a pro wrestler, I'm sorry, dude. If you're not going to be there to build as much and have an LA Knight type of level of story, then when you just show up to Mania, it's not the same. It was not the same spectacle, and I put this match on low. I gave it a low grade, but because of that. Because anyway, I want to spend more time on John Cena and Cody because we have 20 minutes.
Yeah, so John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. Oh my God, brother! I don't even know where to begin with this. This is.
I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Look, dude, this was old school wrestling. I love the John Cena what he was doing. He was doing finger pokes, stomps, strikes, double axe handles, old school, right? And he was doing all that he can to not let that crowd put him over. He was trying his best to be a heel. He was not giving an entrance WrestleMania worthy. He was just trying to be as plain Jane as possible. Rest holds early, all that kind of stuff to try to drain the crowd out. But the crowd would not let him. The nostalgia took over, but the difference is versus Hogan and Rock, they leaned into it. They rolled with the crowd. They rolled the wave. This time, John Cena was not going to let that happen, and Cody wasn't going to let that happen. For me, this entire match, and I've said this before in many reviews, WrestleMania 40, Cody versus Rock was a lot better of a spectacle. Cody versus Rock flowed better. The people's elbow into the Cody cutter was great, spectacular. There was really nothing from John Cena and Cody that reached those levels because I don't know if they wanted it to or it just couldn't get there. My only criticism of this match, sans Travis Scott.
Yeah, let's not even talk about that yet.
Right. If I'm just looking at Cody and John Cena, is that there are moments in this match when it involved those two that John Cena needed to hit a certain level of desperation, a certain level of emotionality where he's like begging, please, a la Ric Flair, dude, drenched in sweat, red over his face, is going, oh, please don't do right. And I didn't get that sense of like, I'm about to lose everything ever. Like I wanted that drama to swell up in John Cena that he was about to lose his last Mania. And it never really got there. And that was like the one thing that I was hoping that would be the saving grace for me in this match is that finality of a man about to reach the end of the light and he's not going to get what he wanted and Cody Rhodes was about to take it from him. But instead, because of the Travis Scott, it took a long time. It kind of took the momentum for that moment that mattered the most. in the WWE not focusing on that moment that mattered the most, where John Cena is begging for his life, and that they set up Cody will always do the right thing and not try to win, and for that moment to be overwashed by what happened before.
Yeah.
That was what robbed this of this, making it a super spectacular WrestleMania that we'll remember for the rest of time. Instead, we're focused on the wrong thing. But that is the price you pay when you try to go ahead and make a headline versus what caring about what the substances of the match, when you're trying to think about the views and clicks. And it's just like any content creator, something. What happens when you make a video that you're like, oh, brother, this is going to go viral. You work the hardest on it. What happens? Dud. Doesn't go anywhere. Dislikes. Out of your bag. So that's what happened here today, my friend.
You literally took every single word out of my mouth. We are completely in sync here. I was like, man, I'm liking the match that they're working. I like this old school heel attempt. I like that he's walking through the paces. The moves that normally get the pops, the 5 moves of doom, he's literally walking through it and smiling as he's walking through it, because he knows this isn't what we're used to. I'm like, this is working perfectly within the limitations of Cena and leaning into a heel Cena. We're used to seeing Cena get worked and then he makes the babyface comeback. Yep. We're now all of a sudden seeing him in a different realm. It was working for me. And I'm like, yeah, I knew this wasn't going to be an amazing match, but I feel like they picked the right fork to go down, the right path to go down with this match.
Right.
Pretend in a world where they go from that match and then they organically start getting into like a finisher fest, and then it just goes right to the title finish. It would have been so much better. Everything that happened in between there with Travis Scott's music hitting, him taking 30 hours to get to the ring. The man is, as the kids say, aura farming. That's a new term that I learned this weekend.
Oh.
And then it becomes the Travis Scott show. I despise this. I like shenanigans. I like run-ins. Yep. I like my heels winning in dastardly ways because somebody came in to help. And I don't even hate celebrities in wrestling. I just hate when it's a non-wrestling figure like a Travis Scott here being not just involved, but being the deciding factor in this. The deciding factor in a match, already I don't like. The deciding factor of a WrestleMania main event, double don't like. The deciding factor in the history-making 17, triple don't like, despise this, get this out of here. I don't know why they didn't learn their lesson with Jon Stewart in 2015 SummerSlam.
I was about to say that.
Literally nobody goes back and says, thank God that they used Jon Stewart. That's aged terribly, and it was terrible in the moment. Having the non-wrestling figure be the determining factor of it is unacceptable. I hated this. And if that's what they were gunning for, which I don't think that they were, I really don't think that they were gunning for this type of reaction. If they were, mission accomplished. Wrestling ruined, WrestleMania main event ruined. Congratulations. I hope it was worth it. I love that Cena won 17. That's my guy. I hate that this is how it was, because it was because of Travis Scott. I despise this.
Okay, I get the camp of John Cena said he was going to ruin wrestling. We have a culinary metaphor earlier. It's like a chef saying, I want to make a deconstructed baked potato. Yes, it's deconstructed. You deconstruct wrestling, but the elements and the ingredients need to be S tier still. If that's who you are, you're John Cena. I want you to destroy it in a beautiful way, in a way that I could say, wow, that was awesome. That was the Empire Strikes Back that I was looking forward to for this WrestleMania. And it's just a matter of, you could kind of look on the other side of the fence of the casual fan, like who only watches WrestleMania, like, oh my God, Travis Scott's here? What's going on? It still does not excuse Travis Scott sauntering his way to the ring like he's the Undertaker. Like, if you were watching that as a fan, you'd be like, well, what is he doing? Is he going to run? Like, aren't you going to get there?
A little light jog here, please.
And considering how Paul Heyman was able to be the X factor of a wrestling entity, technically a non-wrestling entity in terms of physical nature.
But he's a wrestling entity.
Right. You know what I mean? I'm trying to say, like, someone as not as imposing as a wrestler as Paul Heyman, still being able to execute his moves and have stakes and have some urgency in what he did, just show Travis Scott's not ready for this. And you know that Triple H has been asked before, is like, oh, is Travis Scott going to wrestle? And he's like, oh, maybe if he wants to. No, dog, Bad Bunny would have pulled that off 1,000 times better if it was Bad Bunny, right? So it's just a sign of, like I mentioned, the WWE realizing, like Carrie Cross, bold to say, calling out viral moments. When you chase viral moments, my friend, and you all know this in social media, you chase viral moments, it does not work out. We see through it. People who's been on the internet that you so not ready to embrace fully, the internet knows when a viral moment is been manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
That was manufactured.
I 100% agree, man. What a disappointment that ultimately ended up being. What a downer for a great night of WrestleMania. It had so many people saying that this was the worst WrestleMania of all time. I'm sorry, if you're saying this was the worst WrestleMania of all time, you've only watched 5 WrestleManias. And if you've only watched 5 WrestleManias, you don't get to make that declarative statement. I'm sorry, this is not even close to being the worst WrestleMania of all time. Literally, also in Las Vegas. WrestleMania 27. Like, no, you don't know WrestleManias if you're calling this the worst WrestleMania of all time. I will happily have a spirited conversation about this potentially being the worst WrestleMania main event. I'm happy to have that conversation, but worst WrestleMania of all time, you don't know ball. You just don't know ball if that's what you're calling this.
But Santi, we are willing to teach you ball. Wrestling is cool match club.
Yes.
We will, yes. We
Absolutely.
are welcoming. We will teach you ball.
Yes, we will teach you the fundamentals.
I mean, I'm learning ball as I'm here. And we all know how much I double dribble a lot. I foul out all the time.
To wrap things up here, we did have Randy Orton fire the first bullet of the John Cena retirement tour title defense. That was my favorite John Cena heel promo, by the way, of him talking about winners make history. And he talked about the countdown that's happening. The time is very real and more time has passed than you think. And we see the countdown of 36 going down to 27. And he says 27 more times, not matches, appearances, because you say I can't wrestle. I say I don't have to. What a cold line. I loved him going at the beginning, getting Mark Nash to come back in and call him the never seen 17, the greatest of all time. The last time he's gracing Vegas, John Cena, absolutely awesome. And if you go back to that promo, that was the first time I've actually seen different promo mannerisms from Cena, different facial expressions, the way he was kind of like moving around. I'm like, oh, this is new. Because before we were getting heel Cena things that he was saying, but in regular John Cena cadence. You know what I mean? This time around, I love when he was holding the title. He's just like, because I'm so nice, I'm going to say it one more time for you guys. The final real champ is here. And like, just the way he was like moving around and then, Randy Orton. Oh, so good, man. Randy Orton coiling up and taking out Cena. Hits them with the RKO. Cena turns around. Oh, shit.
Okay. You ate crow earlier. I'm going to eat crow here. I know I said I've seen with John Cena heel. When I kind of thought about that, when I, looked within, I simply think what I was is like, I get what he's doing. And I've seen all its levels and it's all fun, but I haven't seen, you talked about it. You kind of talked me down. The baby faces working with a heel Cena, and the baby faces, we got a taste of it with Cody Rhodes roasting John. Now we're going to get Randy Orton to do the thing. That to me is exciting. I'm all for it.
Yeah, man. And you know what? Whether it's intentional or unintentional, Randy Orton is the perfect first opponent for Cena, because right now we need Cena booed. And right now, the best way to counter nostalgia is with nostalgia. Nostalgia that's going to be in their hometown of St. Louis at Backlash. Cena will be booed, and he needs to be booed. He wants to be booed. He's trying so hard. When the crowd was chanting, "We are sorry," and he's just like, "That's right." Do you hear that for those at home? They're saying, "We aren't sorry." He's trying so hard. He wants to be booed. For this to work, we need to boo Cena. I'm not going to be one of those guys. But this is the perfect counter to nostalgia, more nostalgia.
I have a question for you, and I think we leave the podcast with this. This is a thing for everyone to think about. Are we getting John Cena? He's going to actually ruin everything, and then the next step is Avengers Endgame, or is this the Infinity War moment where he just did it? What I'm trying to say is, who's going to step up to stop John Cena from ruining wrestling? Because he says he hasn't done it yet. He's on the way to do it. He's dismantling it. First up to bat is Randy Orton. So I asked that question beforehand, and I ask you this question now: like, who's going to stop John Cena from ruining wrestling?
I want everyone and anyone. I think eventually will be Cody, but I think I want AJ Styles. I want CM Punk to step up. He listed those names, by the way. He mentioned Roman Reigns. I would love for all of these names to step up to try and take out John Cena. As insufferable as he can sometimes be, I think Sami Zayn would be really interesting in this situation, right? I want to see all of these baby faces trying to save the WWE and him just continuously toppling down with his formulaic walking through the paces wrestling.
Time for New Heat Order. Wrap us up.
Yeah, we got to be quick.
Yeah, I got it. I've filled some out.
Oh, beautiful.
Here's the New Heat Order, the buzz and things like that. And right now, I have this going out. At number 1 for after WrestleMania is John Cena. Number 2, Randy Orton. Number 3, Dom. Number 4, Io Sky. Number 5, Karrion. Ignore Mike Kellery. 6, 7, and
how do you not have Seth Rollins, bro?
Hold on. Number 9, Steffi V. So where would you want to put Seth Rollins on this list?
I would have
John Cena, Seth Rollins.
I would have. Yeah, just them at 1.
This is why we got to do this quick. So Seth Rollins. All right, Seth Rollins number 1.
We got to have Braun Breaker here.
Okay, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker at 2, 3, John Cena.
Yeah.
Okay, 4 Dom. 4 Dom.
Yeah, put Dom there.
Okay, 5 Io Sky.
I would go Carrion over Io.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
man. It's the buzz, man. It's the buzz. Yeah, right. It's the buzz.
That's right. 5 Carrion.
6
Io. 7 Steph.
Like Vaquer. If you're willing to have, NXT on here, okay.
I put her at 9. 8. Where were we at 7? 8. Rusev.
Yeah, Rusev. Let's have Rusev in here.
Okay. So that means we need 10.
Becky Lynch.
Okay, done.
Oh,
sorry, graphics broke.
Sorry, guys. I have a doctor's appointment that starts in 5 minutes. So I'm already late.
Grinding.
I have been grinding. Thank you for acknowledging that. I'll probably, when I come back from the doctor's appointment, upload like hey, here's the Patreon thank you, and then I'll splice it together for the actual YouTube upload. But I want to get this. Sure. Yeah. But folks, thank you very much for watching this episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. Again, you will see me reading the Patreon names. It'll just be different here because I gotta get a jetting here. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. Thank you for lasting a WrestleMania season with us. Take care, be wonderful people, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers, everybody. Folks, as an extra special thank you goes out to our $15 patrons. They are the producers of the show. So thank you goes out to Dominic Mysterio is the GOAT. First patron, Crazy Dude says, my stack stocks are booming now. Abdullah Kaja, Ace, Adam Elysium, Adam Pacina, Aiden S, Alex Regal, Alex, All Hail Dirty Dom, Alan the Teflon Don, Amado BC Latino in Spain, American Nightmare Cody Lander, Andrew S, Anita Maxwin, Anthony A, Antonio Arjona, Anthony Arbach, Arrogance, Ashley, Asperlitz, Ozzy Kingslayer, Austin Gregory, Authentic Chocolate, Bailey Saunders, Bo Pluto, BFT is the Skull Crushing Penale with less steps, Be Hostile, Big Man Bob, Blast Pass 64, Bluefish, Bobby, Brad the Nerd, Brady Keaton, Brandon Fribley, Brennan Richards, Brody Cyphers, Brian Miranda, Bryce Burt, Caleb Hurley, Caleb Parker, Caleb Williams, Cameron Waring, Cameron Talks Wrestling, Carlos Gonzalez, CB, Cena Cody, Double Turn at Mania, Chase Rose, Chimchar Collectibles, Chris Butner Lucas, Chris Estes, Chris Eric Clark Jr., Christian Billick, Clay, CM Drunk, Colby Mayo, Colin Ketchum, Colin Roach, Conductor of the Penta Train, Connor Fitzsimmons, Connor Hoffman, Cookies for Sale, Cool Whip Tim, Corey Kim, Sci-Fi, Dalton Dunbar, Danny Lamb, Danny Gunk, Darren Dunstan, Dick Girl, Derek Barnhart, Devin, Digi316, Dylan Stapleton, D. Lopez, Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, Dreadful, Drew Ashford, Dumsky, Dylan Ariola, Sean, Eduardo Avila, El Yochi, Ellie Ferreira, Eric Ruiz Romero, Aaron Thorne, Everybody Loves Henry Ramon, and even John Cena, Extreme Madness 98, Isatch Phil McCracken, Fishing with Papa J, Fletcher Walpool, Floating, FMFCMA, Forever Wrestling, Fruitful Vibes, Gamerscape, George Valdez, Gilbert Deans, Goat Man of Cheese. Gosh, that was a stupid name. This is one's worse. Gunther killed my brother Oos. GXA Man Heartfelt. Henry Ramon puts pineapple on his hot dogs. Henry Shakes. Hoodie Cam. I love you, John Cena. I'm Rick James, bitch. Ian McNugget. I'm Braun Strowman. Isaiah Rodriguez. Issa David. It's Mista. It's Astro Kid. It's Christian. I'm Braun Strowman. Jack Gibley. Jack Harris, Jackson, Jacob Mueller, Jacob Pena, Jacob Staffel, Jaden Solomon Jones, Jake Shavoya, Jacob Kufis, James Brian Balago, Jason Didios, Jason Vane, Javier Rodriguez, Jalen Steele, Javion McDuffel, Jay Angel, JC Worley, Jeremiah Finley, Jahihi Ahihi, J-Man, Joey Romig, Jordan Lynch, Josby, Jose Seja, Joseph, Juicy J153, Juliana Sarfi, Justin Brooks, Justin Perkins, Justin Rivera, Caden Rivers, Caleb Martin, Kevin Bega, Kuwaiti Rick Boogs, Kyrie Lawrence. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Let Papa H Poop, Liam, Lil Shifu, Luis Aguilar, Luke Parker, Luke Sika, Manly Man, Mark Guy, Marnie YCSM, Matthew Dollar, Matthew Oberg, Matthew Watkins, Mossy, Max Dupree, Max Queen X, Mackay, Meredith Lee, Michael Purnell, Michael Paz, Michael Vera, Miguel Paredes, Mikey Rada, Mitchell X, Muhammad Albanai, my dad, Yeet Oos, my dad's dead, my mom's dating some guy named Dom, Nathan Tully, Nell and Zach. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at your dad's dead, but I'm sorry, that just caught me so off guard. Nicholas Kyle, Nighthawk, Nina Ure, NyQuil Pad, Noah Booth, Noah Burton, Obi Nobi, Obion 0012, Oil Up Now Santi, Oliver Hammonds, Osama Awad, Penis in Uranus. God damn it. Parker Moore, Pat R, Pat McMark, Pig Nuts, Pim Caw, Polar Beezy, Preston Smith, Frody, Prince Vegeta, Puke 1904, Puppet Spanker Johnson, Randy Cooper, Ross of All Daddies, Reaper God, Ricardo Ramirez, Rick Mar 1R, Ricky Dutcher, Robert Holder, Robert Rogers, Rocky B, Royce Ruffo, Ruben Sanchez, Riley, Ced Vega, Sam Duke. Sancho doesn't get a safe space. Sancho's opinion over Santi's opinion. Sancho Zap and Santi West in an alternate universe. Santi is our 17-time podcast champion. Santi lives in Canada. Santi loves love child of Cena. Santi, Sancho Santi, Sauce God, Saudi Rick Boog, Scarlet K, Scotty Bear 92, Screamo Scott, Semba, Seymour Butts, Shaggy WWE, Shane, Shaniqua Foss, CEO, Sir Alberton, Slime Manny, Slow Toke Rodriguez, Stephanie Vucker, Lookalike Contest in My Bedroom, Stephen Colby, Stucky, Sugar Shane, Sugar Malachi Galaxy, Taco Bullfish, Tim and Brian, Tanner Cloudis, The Final Pebble, the Vanilla Joe Rilla, Thomas Wright, Timmy Fitzmaurice, Toasty, Tobias Burnett, Tom Lehman, Trent Head, Trevor Harder, Turbo Tyson, Two Slapped Cupid, Tyler Free, Tyler Logan, Tyler McGarry, V Charles, Vegan Penguin, Venom, Juan Pablo III, Whaler 30, White Mexican, William Martinez, William Newton, Willie Cecil, WWE Undisputed Dumbass, Sir Nightmare, Xavier D. Lewis, Javier Izquierdo, Zach Smira, Deadshot, You Stupid, My Reeves, Zach Griffin, Zach Hewitt, Zach Butcher, Zay2K, Zerzito, and Lord BBNJ. Thank you so very much for supporting us in this endeavor that we're on. You folks take care and have a wonderful day.